Besides, you're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Let's get you out of here, Buzz.
Don't you get it? You see the hat? I am Mrs. Nesbit. Snap out of it, Buzz.
Look what I got. I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. And guess what's inside it?
Taking my life, Usul. It is the only way.
I'm pointing the way.
I've really got to get you out of those clothes
Excuse me?
and into a black dress. Tell me, Doctor, do you like the circus?
I actually don't want to wear this shirt. I just wore it as a bit to start. It's actually kind of uncomfortable.
But it's got the characters. Come on.
Right.
Guys, I have a big candy bowl next to me.
Are those hard candies?
No, it's all soft candies.
They're soft candies.
Whenever you give a good take, you reward yourself. Like, I deserve a treat. And pop a little candy.
Whenever I give a take, I do a crunch.
Those are called take-ups. It's like sit-ups, except you have to take when you...
You'd have to do something different for crunches, because it's like a different motion, you know. Take-ups are like, that's a full.
Cole, I know you've got nothing going on, but Zach and I have someone coming over to our house later. So if you could clap us in.
Okay, let's clap in at the 40-second mark.
Let's assume for a second that I didn't have timed out as up. Let's assume.
Let's clap in, Zach, when I give the time. Okay. Do you have it up now?
It's a long URL, Cole. Okay, give him a second.
Now, time has an E at the end.
Yes.
Timmy, that is.
Timmy?
Okay. Timmy. 10 seconds.
Welcome back to another great episode of Get a Load of This Movie, a franchise movie podcast where we are keeping to our namesake here, and we are talking about 3 movies today, all part of a franchise that we are continuing, the Friday the 13th franchise. And yes, this is our second installment of the Friday the 13th franchise, but we will be covering part 2, part 3, and the final chapter. Cole, do you know what the best part of these movies is?
The end.
They are all streaming on Paramount. Is that right? Prime?
I watched 2 of them on Peacock, then I had to rent the other one on Prime, so I don't know.
I think they're all streaming on Paramount because I didn't have to rent any of them, and I have Paramount to watch Star Trek. So that was just
Star Trek.
I loved that. So these are all streaming. It sounds like some of them are streaming on Peacock. I think all of them are streaming on Paramount. So go check those out and then listen along because we'll be talking about all 3 movies today. It is going to be a big episode, but I'm actually really excited to talk about this. I don't really have anything intro wise. I mean, we have a long episode, we are not doing a call sheet. So
Zach had a little something he wanted to bring up. I think it was just personal Oscar predictions. Is that right?
Oh, I was going to put that at the end, but
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And to be honest, I also forgot about it. So that will give me some time to look over those nominations. It's going to be pretty fast and loose with those.
Yeah.
Right at the start, though, I think we should clarify that, we are recording.
Title of your autobiography, Fast and Loose.
So for YouTube episode, this is probably one episode, I'm assuming. But for the audio, I'm currently planning, maybe plans will change, currently planning on releasing part 2, part 3, and part 4 as separate, way shorter episodes, all on Friday the 13th. So hopefully that's when you're listening to at least this first one on part 2. But I think that'll just make them more accessible to anyone who might prefer one movie over the other. So we'll see how that goes. But if there's a abrupt end to an episode and an abrupt start to the next, that is why. I'll try to make it as seamless as possible.
Let's create some transitions while we talk about them.
You know what? And on YouTube,
you.
If you're watching us on YouTube, I will put markers when we start talking about each movie, so you could just skip ahead and find that marker on the dial-up below.
But if you're watching our shorts,
we'll do
you can just watch random ones and have a good time.
And Cole will do absolutely nothing to further the mission of this podcast. But
what is the mission?
If you don't know, man, it's just
you guys were in unison. I don't know.
I thought you knew what the mission was. I was following your lead.
What's step 2? That
Profit.
was
Step 3's profit. We're still figuring out what step 2 is.
That's step 3. Step one, start movie franchise podcast. But no, I have nothing else to get into. I do kind of want to have a little bit of a conversation about the franchise as a whole. But as I said, this is only our second installment of this, and we will be doing a final Friday the 13th installment at the end of the year in November when we get our last Friday the 13th. That's right. It's a trilogy written in the stars by God, specifically for your favorite movie franchise podcast. That is right. We
Getting
are
a little too religious on here, Corey.
We are anointed. So
Dear God.
I think just to get into it, we don't have a call sheet. I think we just get right into the
Even the opening scene, there's always some random girl who gets a call that undoubtedly ends up getting her killed. It's also predictable. There's no element of surprise. You can see everything coming.
Did that surprise you?
Why?
Because you talk too much. Now shut the fuck up and watch the movie.
action.
I like that you said a messenger from God, or we're anointed by God, because it reminded me of I think that's
These brothers.
It's a direct Crazy Ralph quote in the first one. He's like, "I'm a messenger from God." You're doomed if you stay here. I hope one of you guys brings up Crazy Ralph in this episode. It's a damn shame. Damn shame when it happens to our boy. I think he's an underutilized weapon that the series could have maintained through multiple entries.
No, that's part of the conversation I wanted to have about.
I
the
mean,
franchise
he could have been like the one canon
there.
thing almost, because it
Kind of like
almost
in
doesn't feel like they're
the
canon
Final
all the way
Destination,
through.
like Final Destination.
Yeah,
where
the
they
Tony
have to-
Todd character.
Yep.
Yep.
I actually wanted to. When we have a conversation about the franchise as a whole, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. But for audiences, really quick before we fully get into it, we will be doing all sections of one movie and then moving on to the next. So we will be doing action, MVP, and reviews, and then ending it, going to the next one straight into the action. So Cole, did you write a summary for this movie?
As with normal, I don't usually do one for these longer franchises. We didn't do them for Alien. We didn't do it for Stranger Things. I didn't think we were doing it for this. I can sum them up pretty quick. Campers go to camp. Jason comes to visit. People die. Final girl. Fade to black.
Picked up an attitude there. Did you get a read?
Was also thinking that,
Did
I
you
felt like
did
it
you
was
get a
kind
perception of what he thought of these movies there?
It felt like it was kind of pointed at me too, even though he didn't say my
How
name.
dare
I felt
you ask?
targeted.
How dare you ask, Corey? If he had a summary.
Cole, what a fantastic summary. I can't wait to hear the summary for part 3.
No, that was
I
for all of them.
got it. Okay, I got it.
Here,
For anyone who watched these movies a while ago, I'll give a really, really brief part 2
Really
specific
brief.
summary here.
Yeah.
Because Cole said it's not wrong. It's not wrong. So I'm just going to fill in the gaps with a little bit more detail or structure here.
Depth.
The film opens with the final girl, Alice, from the previous film, being killed in her home, unfortunately. Then we jump ahead 5 years. Jason is an urban legend in the Crystal Lake area. And across the lake from Camp Crystal Lake, the titular
Lake.
Yeah, then it's not realized it's not the title. Across Crystal Lake.
The titular day lake.
It's now known as Camp Blood, the events of the first one took place. And now across the lake, they're doing a counselor training program, I believe it is. It's not actually a camp. This is just where they're training counselors.
That's what we should have done this podcast recording. We should have gone to camp and done live on the scene. Sorry.
3 grown men at camp.
So these counselors are not counseling any kids at the moment. They're just being trained to be sent out to counsel kids across the land, like disciples.
Yeah.
So that's the
Stop
setting
being
here.
religious.
Paul is the one running the camp. Ginny is his girlfriend, and she has a child psychology major, I believe, which comes in handy later. But as Cole alluded to, the various counselors are dispatched by Jason, Baghead Jason in this version. In various ways, Ginny and Paul return from the bars to find that everyone is missing and or dead. And it comes down to just Ginny and Jason, where she finds Jason's hut, where he has a shrine to his dead mother and is able to manipulate him using that mother angle enough time for her and Paul to defeat him, though Paul may not have made it. So not the best way, easiest way I could have described this, but that's the gist of this one. Ginny is the final girl, as Cole says.
So, Zach, I did have a question. What happened to the girl from the first one? You
Well,
mention
You said that, didn't you?
yeah,
No?
yeah, that's what I led off with.
I thought
she was murdered.
I did. Just did start with
said
that. Cole. Now here's another bit of
Cole, I know we don't listen to your summaries, but you got to listen when Zach starts.
Zach gets up and walks away and then says, I had to get a beer. That is a verbatim quote from about 3 episodes.
But
I
he
can
never
still
says,
hear you.
"Cole,
You're
did you-"
in my headphones, when I go get the beer. That's why you can sometimes hear me laugh way off screen or
But
something.
he also never says, like, did you mention this? Even though he's not paying attention. He just assumes you did a great job. And you usually do, Cole.
Yeah. Yes, you do, Cole. We cherish you and we love you. Now,
We do.
so the way we did we're doing this, 3 movies in one episode, like we did with Alien. Alien, we did even more movies in one episode, but to streamline it, each of us were going to come to each of these movies with one specific point or question or both. I did not see these boys' points or questions until we started today.
No.
So we're starting off with what Cole brought for show and tell here with part 2. And it says, does this feel like more like a blatant Halloween ripoff? And then, and as we're speaking, the living, breathing Google Doc, he erased the second bullet point, which I wanted to bring up, where he wrote very evil. Now,
Evil Dead-ish with the canon. The canon feels almost Evil Dead-ish as they move from the first to the second movie.
I'm interested to
All
hear
right,
more
well,
about
okay,
that.
here, I'll tell you what, let me redo that part right here and say, okay, I did not see these guys' points until starting today, what we each brought to show and tell. Cole is going first. So, Cole, would you like to introduce your talking point for Friday the 13th part 2?
Yeah. As I was watching this, I mean, it kind of feels like the first one in the sense that there is a sense of dread throughout this entire movie, but the killer feels more like a blatant ripoff of John Carpenter's Halloween. This kind of methodical, slow-walking being who just dispatches people at random, which, not to get into like Halloween Kills, but we learned that kind of wasn't random. Michael was just going home, whatever. That being said, did you guys also notice this as well? Plus, you have the first-person POV that we often got from Michael. The camera movements, the way the killer moves, it all felt very Halloween-ish to me. Halloween-ish? Weenish?
I
Don't say weenish.
I think one glaring contradiction I might make with that, Cole, because you're not. There's going to be some carryover with that. Halloween is super influential, like we were talking about the last Friday the 13th. That is going to bleed through into these imitators for sure. I do not think Jason in this movie is slow moving at all. In fact, I think that's also why he's scary. I think Jason runs in this movie, and I think that's part of what makes him distinct from Michael in this. Michael's been locked up for years. Jason is, autonomous, living on his own out in the woods. He's got a house. He's got
got a shrine to his mother.
A shrine, a shack, yeah, whatever you want to. Yeah, he's got a toilet. We even saw the cop open up and be like, "Ew," So I don't know.
Pooped.
I don't know what the plumbing
Serial
works out
killers poop too. Okay, we need to remember that, everyone.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Jason is distinct from Michael here enough, for at least enough for me not to call it a ripoff, and then also distinct, even oddly enough, from Jason in the following movies. I think he's different here. So, but that can be more of a talking point when we get to the 3 and 4. But I don't know. There's definitely some carryover. I mean, it's at the end of the day a slasher. There's only so much you can do with a slasher movie. So there'll be some DNA from Halloween in there because that's kind of like the Godfather of slashers, obviously.
Yeah, I didn't notice it enough to be like, oh, this is a ripoff when I'm watching it. But now, like, talking about it, I see your point and I could see the comparison there. And so I don't think it
wasn't like too much that it didn't feel unoriginal. I want that to be put out there because what we saw of Michael in the first movie that has kind of been, I feel like, there's been a sort of Mandela effect that Michael and Jason are these two like incredibly violent, like beings, whereas Jason feels a lot more violent, where Michael's kills were bloodless and kind of just a single stab to the gut in like the first movie, or a wire on the throat that felt, I don't know, slightly more, which is weird because they feel slightly more tame compared to what Jason does and continues to do throughout the series.
I want to push back on your take that Michael's first movie, Halloween, he wasn't like very gory or violent. But we're not talking about that, so I'm just gonna say like I formally disagree. We can put that.
Okay.
I'll fill out the necessary paperwork to formally disagree with you there. But talking about Jason, I think that they are violent. I think the reason I'm able to separate them enough, and I didn't watch it thinking, wow, this is a direct ripoff. Maybe the DNA is there, but I think if you take the fit, like if you have parts of movies that are very, very good and very, very impactful to a genre or the culture, and you include them in your movie, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing as long as you can differentiate them enough. And I think in this one, since you know you have more of a motivation that they're talking about throughout. Like I think that initial one, or that the initial scene where they're all by the campfire and talking about Jason, where he is the legend that Zach mentioned in his summary. You kind of get this motivation that he saw his mother beheaded that night and he is out for revenge, you know? And with Michael, you're just getting the sense of like, oh, he is a killer for killing's sake. And I think that does enough for me where it's like I think that does enough to separate them and make those things that like paint him as scary, the slow moving, which he has slow moving moments in this. I don't think that's his whole identity. I think it's more of I think the POV from him is more in his identity that they kind of get away from in 2 and then somewhat back in 3. It's kind of a little bit back and forth. I think there's a good amount of mixture in that one, but we can get that one in part or the final chapter when we talk about it. But I think there's enough to separate them is my final point, that it doesn't bother me. And I think they do a good job with taking the scary parts of Michael and putting that into Jason. So you are scared and you kind of connect that he is a bloodthirsty killer aspect that Michael has. And so they don't have to do as much legwork with that because they're kind of maybe riding the coattails just a little bit, but I don't think it's a negative by any means.
Jason does do a lot of legwork in this movie. He be walking a lot.
I mean, he walks at points when he's being sneaky because he doesn't just like see and then attack. You know, he's methodical in some sense. You know, like a lot of killers are in these slasher movies. It's not like like the shark from Jaws here, where he'll just eat anything that's in his path. I mean, there's some sneaking around, but I think my point is that we never see Michael hustle. Michael can't be bothered to hustle. And there are shots, and I'm passionate about that. Passion might not be the right word. I'm really adamant about it that Jason runs, because I think some of my favorite shots in this movie are Jason running, and specifically in that latter half, that last third specifically. I think
maybe because I watched 2 and 3 back to back, they kind of there's elements of Jason that kind of blended together a little bit.
That's fair enough. Corey, now.
Yeah, so I really thought, so in the first one, I thought it was kind of slow at the very beginning and the pacing was just not to my enjoyment, where I talked a lot about like, I don't know if I saw the thing that everyone saw where this became like a cultural touch, like a cultural moment, and I mentioned that. Well, that's what I was going to say. It didn't feel right, but like a moment in horror history that like you should know if you're really into that genre. And I didn't
change the world, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I wasn't exactly sure how it got a sequel. I think that part 2 does a really, really good job of pacing itself, recognizing what it is, and delivering on kind of what you were expecting, or what people enjoyed about the first one, but also like taking it to a different place. I thought the character of Ginny did a big job, or a big part in that at the end, when she has her whole like Jason, she kind of like dresses up as his mother, and I thought, I was like, whoa! I actually thought at that point this series was about to become very like paranormal, and his mother's eyes were going to open, especially like the last shot when they zoom in. I thought his mother's eyes were going to open.
Corey, I got to cut you off there for 1 second, because that actually I think is the unused alternate ending. I think they did film a version where the eyes open I like
Did
some other podcasts that talk Halloweenies podcast. I think they were talking about alternate endings that are filmed for these movies, and they were talking about having the eyes open as the final shot.
I wrote that down as soon as we saw the head and she's like rushing in there. Oh, excuse me. I wrote down her eye. These eyes are going to open. I wrote that down. And then I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised that they didn't. I thought that was a good level of like restraint from them, but also like keeping the movie grounded and like, no. Like this is
I love that you said that word because it sets up my point later. That's
even better. I thought I liked that. And I thought that does a very good job of saying like, this is a revenge movie. This is Jason as a child, somehow didn't drown, lived in the lake, and all that stuff. Even though it's not paranormal, it's like we're taking that and just kind of accepting what the story is and saying, no, this is a guy who was outcast by society, and then he was killed because he's ugly, or he died because he's ugly.
They stopped watching him because they couldn't bear to look at him.
It wasn't that they were having sex. They just were like, we cannot look at this ugly kid swimming anymore.
But then taking that and saying like he is traumatized from a very young age because he saw his mother beheaded, and now he is taking things to an extreme that only movies can take you. You know,
I think he overreacted.
No. I think it was. I think it was a rightful reaction.
Corey is not a Jason apologist.
To get back into the main point is I like the pacing, but the ending kind of messed that up a little bit, and it felt like we had an ending, and then it kind of felt like they just when they went back to the cabin, like, and so I wanted to ask, like, do you guys think the ending of this movie had a big impact on your overall viewing experience? Like, I know we've kind of talked about in the grand scheme of things.
What you mean, like with the ending?
Do you mean like the Alice in the sweater?
No. I liked the ending in Jason's cabin, but it goes beyond that, and they go back to like the real life cabin.
The fake out with the dog. The dog is at the door.
And then Jason climbs through the window, and then you get to see his whole face. You know, that felt like I don't really know why we needed anything beyond after Jason's cabin.
So, I mean, to speak to that, I think they're just trying to replicate what they did at the end of
the original.
Part one.
Yeah, it's another.
It's
more
beyond
this,
beyond
like,
justification. Beyond justification. How did it sit with you, and how did it affect your
honestly,
overall opinion of the
these
movie?
are not movies where each film, the final girl kind of has a place in like the zeitgeist as like surviving and all of this. These are not movies where I like look back. And I don't think I've even heard Zach really talk about like the final endings of these movies as his favorites either, and he's Mr. like, I own all these on VHS or DVD. So, I mean, I think it's just keeping in the format of the first movie, and it doesn't land as well for me because they did that. Sometimes it's okay for these characters to have a happy ending, or like just a really fucked up ending. It's a better way to describe it.
The reason I ask is because I feel like they did it in the first one, but in the first one I felt like it worked a lot more for me
because it sets up this one slightly.
No, not even that. Just like as it taking it on its own, it felt like it was more organic than it did in this one. In this one, it felt like they were trying to do it because they were like, we did something similar in the first one, you know, and we did a surprise
about part 3.
The first one ending is even more of a shock. I do think I agree, Corey, that the first one ending is better with the Jason jumping out of the lake because Mrs. Voorhees is the killer in the first movie, and so it's a cohesive jump scare because it traces back to what set her on that path, which is the drowning of her son, or her perceived drowning of her son. And so and it all ties back to that lake, what she's floating above in that boat. So that's a great unexpected ending that feels cohesive. And it's like, is it a dream? Is it not? You could look at it either way. I think it's kind of perfect in that kind of middle ground there, that blurred line. There is a bit of a blurred line here with whether or not it was a dream, but Paul's probably dead. So
I think Paul's dead. I think.
Yeah. And there's actually kind of a theory that Paul's definitely dead. It's more revealed in part 3 that we could bring up then. But I don't know. It's not really clear what really happened there at the end of that movie because Jason if that's real, Jason pulled her out the window and then she survived.
But this also implies that he survived an axe to his like carotid artery.
Oh, he did. Oh, he surely did. Because
which also kind of goes toward the supernatural aspect of this movie and of him as a killer.
At a certain point, Jason does become superhuman. Just put it in just a general sense that there's just no way a person could survive something like that. But, it's like in the same way that like Michael Myers survives all that stuff in the first movie, Halloween, before he's supposed to be literally supernatural. Like they kind of give him reason, like when they start saying he transcends and stuff in Halloween Kills, that's when I think it's steps too far. I think Jason surviving an axe to the shoulder is right. Like it pushes up
in
pretty much
line
against
with
that ceiling of like, 98.7% chance someone would die from that. But there's enough there. And also we're kind of stretching plausibility as it is that he's just been living out in the woods all these years and didn't actually drown. So like in the reality we're set in this slasher film with these horror movie, like just that reality that we're setting here, I can buy that enough that he's still just he's a human being. He's not like a ghost. He's not a zombie here.
He's just a boy.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a frightened boy in the woods, which actually kind of goes into my point a little bit, is what I love about this movie specifically, part 2. That's kind of lost in part 3 and 4. And maybe we'll bring that up again, because I think, Cole, one of your points for part 4 goes into this. We literally get a campfire story about Jason in part 2, which I think is done really well by the Paul character. When he's like, oh, I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm gonna give it to you straight about Jason, and he does his monologue there. I love it. I think it's great. Like Jason's out there, the way he does it, literally turning him into an urban legend here, and like the way that Camp Blood is marked off, like you're banned from going there. I love tropes like that in horror movies. It's like one of my favorite ways to give exposition is like an urban legend or a campfire story. Like the movie Candyman does it really well. That's one of the original Candyman does it really well, and the remake kind of does it too.
More of a requel than a remake.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's more of a requel. But like the John Carpenter's The Fog, another example of a great campfire story. A lot of these horror movies have campfire stories. I think this kind of I don't even know how to say it, myth version of Jason
mythologizes.
Yes, yeah. I was gonna whatever version of that word
hit me wrong.
Yeah, I don't really know. This is mythical, mythologized. This mythologized version of Jason. That was tough podcasting from all of us there, I think. I think it works really well for me, and I think it makes him scarier. I think this is the scariest version of Jason that we get in the series. I think like little shots like with the cop, after the cop brings back the 2 trespassing kids to Paul, which side note, love that scene with Paul kind of being casual about it, and the guy's like, oh, you're not even gonna reprimand them? He's like, no dessert, no seconds on dessert tonight for them, like
yeah.
I think that's a really good scene. But when that cop was on his way back, and it's just like a quick cut of Jason running into the woods in front of the road. It's like, oh my god, it's like a sighting of Bigfoot or something. It's like, holy shit, that's that guy.
Chases him for a while.
I also think
if you saw Bigfoot, you would also try to follow him to his lair. And
but he say, hey, the entire time.
The choice of, I mean, we'll talk about this in 3, but the choice of the burlap sack with barely open eye holes is kind of a little more terrifying than a huge dude in a hockey mask.
And also we are keeping it, it is so like Corey, you said, because Corey, you said grounded. I think this version of Jason, the bag over his head, that's a typical like mean, like, oh, ugly person thing, like put a bag over their head or something. So if Jason grew up getting, bullied for the way he looked,
stop laughing at that.
Then this bag over the head look, even when he's like alone, is kind of tragic a little bit, kind of sad. And maybe his apparent drowning when he came out on the other side of the lake alive, and he's like, I'm not going back there. The kids are mean, and then he just stayed in the woods. It kind of gives a sad.
It was his villain. We say this from time to time. That's their villain origin story.
Yeah,
and that was his.
And I like that Ginny tries to like take that urban legend and make sense of it, like when in that bar scene when she's like taking a real look at it, like, okay, like think about where his head is at after all these years in the woods, after maybe seeing his mom die there and finding her body, finding her head, like, and then But as to that legend, unfortunately, and I think we do have to talk about it because I've mixed feelings on this, mostly negative. So this is where I'll be negative about this movie, is bringing back the final girl from the last movie and
Just
killing
to kill
her
her off.
in the opening scene. Now,
So
I
you
think the
didn't like
positive
that.
aspect of it, I think it makes the rest of part 2 after that opening scene better, because I think that urban legend campfire story is all the scarier, where like all these kids got killed here by the mom. She said that she was taken to the lake by a boy. No one believed her. And then 2 months later, she disappeared. That is a scary story to tell
Did
people.
they say she disappeared? Or
Isn't her body there? Isn't her body?
She said she died? Or she just disappeared? Was it-
I think it's
Oh, okay.
disappeared because I
I
think
don't-
her
I don't
body. I
remember.
think her corpse is in Jason's
Oh, okay.
shack. I
That's
would have
fun.
to. I'd have to double check that. Might
Wholesome
have to
family fun
crowdsource
right
that.
there. That's what that is.
Which I think is even
Dear
scarier.
God.
You know, because that allows your mind to wander if the body's missing. It's like, oh my God, like what happened to her then? So that's I think
you
it makes the
don't
rest
like
of part
that?
2 better, but I think it makes it retroactively kind of hurts 1 a little bit.
What hurts it? What hurts 1 from that scene?
I just don't love taking the girl who went through all that at the end of the last movie and then just killing her off in the opening of the next movie.
That's
So I think it
why,
makes the last movie a little
Zach
worse, but it
hates
also
Halloween
makes the rest of the second
Resurrection.
movie better.
No spoilers, but that's why Zach hates Halloween Resurrection.
It's kind of a
so-
spoiler, but
I
who cares? I hate that movie.
I like that scene. I didn't think it
like 30
hurt the
years.
bad one.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I didn't think it hurt the last one, not the bad one.
Freudian slip a little.
I didn't think it hurt the last one. I thought it was more of like setting the tone for
Mhm.
the first one really set the tone where everyone dies and really
Mhm.
there's no reference to it whatsoever. No one's given like a really dramatic, like, yes, they're very dramatic, but it's not like you get to sit with the deaths long enough to be like, to like even, oh my gosh, Kevin Bacon, no, you don't even get to sit with it long enough
That's
before
actually what
before
I
the
said
next
while I watched
before
it.
the next
So-
killing even starts, or
Yeah.
before the next scene even starts. You don't really get to sit with it very long. Like, and so I thought them doing that was almost very true to the tone that they set in the first one and just reestablishing it in this one. And
Mhm.
if you're not gonna do anything with that character in this one, I don't see the necessary downside. I've told you guys I didn't think very super highly of the first one. I didn't dislike it by any means. I just didn't think that it was a very groundbreaking movie. And
Mhm.
so I think moving on and doing that was just very surprising. It kept me like, oh my gosh, like this is what they're doing. They had some sort of continuity and then they just threw it out the window. The same thing with the old crazy man that they brought it, or Ralph,
Mhm.
Crazy Ralph. They threw him out the window as well. And I was like, I thought that fit with what they were doing pretty spot on. I kind of wish they continued that in in the final chapter. Not to talk about
You wanted Ginny to come back at the beginning of part 3 and
No. I'm not saying that I wanted her to come back and just die at the beginning of part 3. But like,
start a
if she
troubling
was
pattern.
no. But because then it would become like, okay, now you know what to expect. But I think it would almost. This is kind of the thing I wanted to say about the entirety of the franchise, and I guess we can get into it really quick now since we're talking about it. I like that there's not a Sidney Prescott in these movies. But
Or a Laurie Strode.
Or a Laurie Strode. But I think they would benefit from having a Ginny-type character survive one movie, maybe the next one, and then die in the one after that. If you would have had Ginny come back in the next one, or in part 3, small role, maybe you have her like, you see her, I don't know what she's doing. I don't know what she's doing, but you have her in some sort of small role. You still focus, like the movie overall stays very similar to what it is. And then in 3, she comes back in a big way and she's like, no, I need to get this to stop. And like when they say final chapter, it's like her final chapter. And then so you have like crossovers with characters, but it's not like a Laurie Strode or Sidney Prescott where it's like, okay, we are 7 movies in and Sydney is going to be in the 8th. It's not like that.
Yeah. I actually
And she's
agree
a
with you.
mom now.
Yeah, I agree with you, Corey, because actually I wish I thought of this harder on this before we did our Scream 7 episode. It would be more relevant to talk about this specific thing then. But at a certain point, and I genuinely might write a damn opinion piece about this and like put it on like my portfolio or something just to flesh out all these thoughts.
I don't know why I did that.
Inspiring.
To put to bring back, like it's like, oh, we're honoring the character by bringing them back again. At a certain point, are we just being, and we kind of joke about it, like, oh, what else can they put her through? But like on a serious note, like sometimes like to like honor the character, you should just let her go and like just live that, that life off screen.
That's true too.
So like I'm glad that I'm not saying like this is not me negating what you're saying, Corey, because maybe if they could bring back Ginny in some point, they could have, and it would have been satisfying. I don't know, because it never happened. But I like that Ginny is one story, she survives, and I'm not worried that you can believe maybe that she will be fine eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe less so with Chris in the next one, the way that we leave her, the way her final shot of part 3 is similar to like the end of like Texas Chainsaw or something, where like, oh man, she might be broken. Like she's alive, but she might just be like a broken person now.
She's done so after that.
She's gone Coco Bananas as well now, unfortunately, just like Mrs. Voorhees. But
do we want to move on to?
I think that'd be wise. Yeah.
On to the awards season for part 2.
Apparently they strayed off course, and we're fairly certain they're in guerrilla hands.
So why don't you use the regular army? What do you need us for?
Because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
So let's see who we...
Corey, you put yourself first because you were so mad you were last on the last one.
I am going to pick... Let me make sure. I am going to pick Amy Steele. I really, really enjoyed her performance in this. We're doing when we were going back through it and doing like a final girl rankings that we're going to be doing at the very end of all of these. Not to give anything away, but I thought very, very highly of her. I like that she was a competent character, and it seems to be few and far between in what we get in these movies, which, I mean, that's kind of the DNA of them, so I'm not putting it down for that. But I thought having a very competent character after the first movie, and someone that was able to fight back, and someone that was able to kind of like see another side of it and kind of bring a little bit of depth to Jason, I thought she did a very, very good job at that. So Amy Steele is my MVP.
Just as a brief side note, I like that they paid Betsy Palmer, the Mrs. Voorhees, to come back for probably a half hour of work and had her like do the mom lines there.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that. I think it sold that moment well. I think without that, it might be a bit confusing to dumb audiences.
Yeah, like what's she trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, also like they weren't like respecting audiences a ton back then.
Dumb
in the sense
audiences,
that,
like children to you, Corey.
I mean, like even like to go back to the original, like the fact that we watched the entire ending of the original and like a dream sequence at the beginning is just like, well, just in case they forgot, or I guess just since it's kind of a casual Friday night movie, maybe they just for the people who didn't even see the first movie, here's your context. But
yeah,
also it was filling out the runtime, because without that opening scene, it's a 70-minute movie. So
I also think that it fits with the narrative that we've seen a lot of POV from Jason throughout the movie. And so I think that kind of fits, like seeing it from his perspective and what he's viewing the situation as. So I don't think it was out of place either.
Yeah. No. Who's next?
You,
Zach. Who is your MVP?
I'm gonna go Steve Miner, the director from this movie. He was part of the crew of the first movie. He gets to actually direct this movie. I think he's more of a director than Sean Cunningham is. So I think I really, like I said, I love the way this movie feels. Like it feels connected enough to the first movie, but yet it kind of does its own thing with the Jason character. And like I love that the last third of this movie, I think this accounts for all three of these, but I think the last third is the strongest part of this movie. Once it's like Ginny trapped in this like campfire story with Jason, just both of them running around this camp at night, it's really tense. And I think it is eerie. I think, again, like another one of my favorite shots is when she gets into Jason's shack and she doesn't know where Jason is. Like she thinks she might have gotten away from him maybe. And then you just see him sprinting through the woods through that window. I think that's really, really scary. That's something that gets the adrenaline up a bit. But yeah, I think he just crafts scares really well here. And I think all the characters are I'm not going to say all the characters are memorable. Like a few of them definitely aren't. But I think I still am at the point where I like these characters. Like I think Vicky and Mark specifically, like the dynamic that he helps those actors and characters like establish there. You feel bad with what happens to them still. Like that's Mark is the wheelchair bound guy, and then Vicky is the girl that was trying to hook up with him.
R.I.P. Mark. He goes down them stairs, bro.
That's a tough one.
That's a rough one.
I think, yeah, I mean, like, and, you know, I talked on the last movie how much I love storms. The atmosphere here at the end of this movie is still really strong here with another camp set storm. So Yeah, Steve Miner. I think this is a well-directed little slasher movie.
Cole, whenever you're ready.
I'm gonna go Peter Stein. Peter Stein was the cinematographer on this one. I think I spoke to the camera work a lot on the first and how that kind of helped craft these the eerie setting of this kind of legendary place that was Camp Crystal Lake, titular, as Zach called it.
Will be when the show comes out.
Very much so. But in horror films, the way you shoot it is really important because you have to kind of create an atmosphere that is terrifying, and I think Peter Stein does that really well. I also like the way Jason was kind of shot in this movie, and that led to what I think is a really good introduction into this new version of the character of Jason Voorhees.
Really quick before we go on, I just want to shout out one other really good scare. Is that when that initial when Ginny and Mark come back from the bar, honorable mention in terms of a scary moment when they come back from the bar, and this isn't like bringing it back to like. This is like just actually like an eerie movie. I think this is the scariest Friday the 13th movie. Not that these movies ever get like Hereditary level scary. I just think this is where it's at its most like, okay, this is actually kind of creepy. I think when they get back and they know something is wrong, when they get back from the bar and they're looking around that room and Ginny just like calmly says, like, Paul, there is somebody in this room. And then she sees Jason move towards them and then she screams it again. But like just the walking into a dark, quiet room and just like whether it's you're hearing something breathing or you can just feel something is off, but like just calmly saying there is somebody else in this room right now is like, it's kind of scary. It's pretty scary, I think.
It is.
So,
honorable mention before I move on, Kirsten Baker, who played Tara in this movie, so she's great. Anyway, on to
honorable mention
section.
to my
Says that they insist on outside opinions.
What kind of opinions?
Well, your kind, not to put too fine a point on it. I mean, let's face it, in your particular field, you're the top minds.
Co-podcast host.
Yeah. She wanted to go for a late night swim. It's actually, she's not the last person in this series who wants to just go for a late night little dip.
This has
spoilers.
tropes.
One of my
On
favorite
to the
kills
reviews.
happens during one of those.
Cole, what did you think of this movie?
Takes a real manly man to take the place of his mother as the local town murderer. 2 out of 5.
Whoa! What'd you give the first one?
I think I give it a 2.
You don't
give it a 2.25.
You thought the first one was better than this, Cole?
I think they're about the same level.
Oh! You guys aren't ready for this. Zach, do you want to go?
No, you can go ahead. You know what? Actually, it seems like you got, I'll go because we'll let you do the grand finale for this one. Okay. No need to put a bag over this movie's head to have a good time. 3.5 out of 5.
Dear God.
Here we go. A cast that keeps you entertained and on the edge of your seat with their imminent demise. Jason seems just as distracted as we are with the amount of full frontal nudity. Tara, please tell me it was all a bad dream and you come back in the 5th one. 3.5 out of 5.
Thought you were about to say Bush did Friday the 13th.
No. On to part 3, the action.
Thank you for listening to part 2, and listen to the next episode for part 3. I'll make that in the audio one right there.
Even the opening scene, there's always some random girl who gets a call that undoubtedly ends up getting her killed. It's also predictable. There's no element of surprise. You can see everything coming. Ah!
Did that surprise you?
Why?
Because you talk too much. Now shut the fuck up and watch the movie.
Cole, what happened in this movie?
Campers go to camp, people die.
This one might be the easiest one to describe.
There's a biker at one point. He gets clobbed over
gang.
the head. Yeah.
Okay, so following Jason's rampage in part 2, he's still out there, as Alice said at the end of the first movie. He's still out there. And it would appear as Chris Higgins and some of her friends drive up to a place I guess her family used to own, kind of like a barn area, and in the Crystal Lake area. And Jason just takes takes offense to that. And he is still having a really bad week and really angry, and he dispatches just about all of them. Until, it's just Chris left behind, leaving Jason's body dead, hanging, or just on the ground in the barn after she machetes him in the head. So that's where the third one is left off. So who's first for show and tell? Is it me?
Yeah.
I believe it's you. I believe
Okay.
you put yourself first.
I did, because I thought we should alternate that. So I wrote the Anakin Skywalker quote, "This is where the fun begins here." And I mean that not in this is where it gets good. Spoiler alert, I like the last two movies more than this one. But I think there's a tonal shift here from like that eerie, Corey used the word groundedness, and I applauded that because it led right into this point. I think this is where we start to lean away from quote unquote like the grounded nature to the deaths in the last two movies. And this is more like popcorn thrills, like come and have a good time and watch a Friday the 13th movie. So like we're switching from eerie horror to like quote unquote fun horror. So my
3D.
The 3D gimmick is a big part of that, and it is very not subtle.
I did
very
put
unsubtle.
on my 3D.
You're gonna hit me with that thing.
It legitimately
Yo-yo's pretty
first
cool.
scene when the stick swings. I'm like,
well, how are they picturing people reacting in the theater with their 3D glasses to like popcorn popping in the screen? Like, oh my god, the yo-yo one was kind of neat. I did like the yo-yo one. So the 3D gimmick is obviously like, oh wow, this is gonna be it's a fun theater movie. The poster itself is actually it's a pretty great poster. It's just like the silhouette behind a shower curtain and like the machete piercing through the curtain, which is kind of like a double meaning with like piercing through the screen at a movie theater. So that's a cool poster.
Do you think they would have done one of those like actual bulk out posters that you used to walk by the theater and be like, that were all in a line, and then there was one that actually like came out at you?
That'd be awesome.
Back in the day. Do you think they did that?
I'm sure that there was a lot of great little marketing gimmicks back then, but I think you also have like the kill. Like I said, the kills are becoming more elaborate. I think one of the 3D pays off really well, I think, with Rick's death when the head swish and his eye literally pops out at the audience. That must have been a fun one for the ticket carrying audience back then. But you also have like the head squish, like the axe, just really violent axe kill on what's his face when he's doing the handstand walk, the harpoon gun, Jason getting a hockey mask instead of the bag head is also kind of like signaling this tone shift, I think, a little bit. Like there are points where it's like, oh, I think Jason is having fun here. Like it's not, it's like anger in part two, like the revenge thing you were talking about, Corey.
Yeah.
I think here it is like he is enjoying this, and like that's like there's two different points where you see him without the mask, and he's like smiling, and I think that's also scary in its own way. Like one of the scariest parts of the movie, I think, is when Chris is in the boat, and this is a dream sequence, because when we later find him, he's just still on the ground in the barn, and this is after that. She does something similar to Alice, and she goes out in the boat, and she kind of wakes up in the boat, and then she looks over at the house, and Jason like sees her in the top window, and he's like really excited to see her.
Yeah.
He like starts clawing at the window. It's like, that's actually kind of scary when he like bursts out the door and starts running toward her. It's like, oh my God, what are you going to do? You're just stuck in the water. But that's just, it's carrying on the dream gimmick from the last two movies. So my question at the end of this point is, and Corey, you might have already indicated how you feel just by what you said with the part two, but I'll be curious to see, would you prefer Friday the 13th to be more, quote unquote grounded like the last two movies are, or just getting increasingly sillier, campier, more wild, with the kills and the tone, etc. here? I mean, look at the opening theme song to this. Cole like put in the chat, like, what is this opening to part 3? It's like a disco version of the theme. So it kind of that announces itself right away.
Think you can find.
Oh man,
it was rough. I'll be back.
Man,
keep talking.
Full body chills there.
That was it like shook the mic.
Like
some of that hit me all the way out here on the West Coast.
I think you can find a good balance between the two. I think this does take it a little too far. I think in part 2, it might take itself a little bit too seriously for an hour and a half, like kind of popcorn movie, because I think in part 2 it's still a popcorn movie. I think just in this one they're just like, we're all in on that. That's just who we are, like you said, with the pop, like with all the 3D gimmicks that they have. I think you can have a mixture of that where it takes itself somewhat seriously, but also recognizing who it is. And I think like how Jason was acting in this movie, I did not have a problem with that at all. I thought he was really good. I think the part that I had the biggest problem with where was when like the characters themselves, one, they weren't as entertaining as part 3. And so I think that's where you take yourself more seriously. You're more grounded when they're trying to come up with like, here's how we can beat Jason, maybe having a conversation about that. That's where I want the groundedness. But I actually thought Jason was the best part of this movie. Because he was having fun. He was more silly. He was like kind of all over the place. You thought like that last scene, which I'm also really, really glad that they had that scene, but also showed him on the ground still afterwards when it was all said and done. Because it showed like that was completely a dream. Because in the first one, you're not too sure. And the second one, you're not too sure.
Very vague.
But in this one, you are absolutely sure that it's a dream. That it's a dream, and because they show it to you, which makes you like more like, oh my gosh, what's her name is Chris, right? Chris Higgins. You're more like, what is how like Chris is. This is bad for her. This is bad. And I actually thought because of that, they were going to have her in the final chapter because they made her kind of crazy. I was like, oh, that would be very interesting if she was like kind of partners with Jason and all that. I don't know.
Doesn't that happen in one of the Texas Chainsaws?
Maybe. I don't know. I
kind of Texas 3D. So it's another 3D entry. They like the Alexandra Daddario entry.
Maybe we'll make this episode 3D.
I like that gimmick. Good bit.
No one needs to see that.
Oh, what if your sneeze, the sneeze that you had could have came out right at would have hit the audience in their car when they're like,
but I did this.
Yeah, I'm just joking. That would have been funny though.
But Zach, does that make sense with what I think for like the silly versus serious and groundedness? Like I appreciate Jason being very silly, but I think if the rest of it was grounded, I think that's a good mix that it could have here. Also, if they just took Shelley completely out of this movie, that would be great too.
Oh!
This is the Shit on Shelley podcast.
Shelley is kind of, what I've gathered, is kind of like the laughing stock of the series in terms of characters. Like it's like, oh, Shelley's the worst. But
he sucked. You know, I felt like what was it? I wrote it down. I felt sympathy. I couldn't think of the word for some reason. I felt sympathy for him until he jumped out of the water. I was like, what is your problem?
The snorkel gag?
And then he was like, I'm sorry, I'm just weird. Like, I don't know how else to show that. And it's just like, so jumping out of the water and grabbing someone is like your version of this is what a well-balanced person does? Yeah. Like how, like I lost all sympathy for him. And I was honestly surprised that Jason didn't see like, Shelley, we are one and the same. Like, come
well, in a way
me.
he does. He takes the mask. And he's like, oh, I like this guy's case and scares.
I do think it is very interesting that in the third installment of kind of a major franchise at this point, we get the final design of like what becomes a very iconic character. You know, I kind of wish they would have stuck with the mask and like the one eye hole cut out and an axe like that. That's just Jason's look, but I'm okay with it.
Well, it's not just that too. He's bigger here. You know, they changed actors.
Big boy.
Never sensed the word.
Yeah. All of these actors have all three of these movies are different actors playing Jason. So that's why I have a rank your Jasons thing that we'll talk about after final chapter, but they make him a little bit hulkier here. To go along with the mask change as well.
But if they're showing like if their plan was to show him like his full body multiple times, like head to toe, instead of just the close-up shots we were getting in the first two, I think that's a good choice of going with someone that's hulky, like bigger, more menacing, and just like a silhouette of someone that looks scarier. I think that was a good choice by them.
Yeah,
casting wise.
Cool. Go. What did you bring for show and tell for part 3D?
At this point, these movies they kind of start to feel repetitive. Like, it's just like flashback, people go to camp, people get murdered, final girl.
I'm not convinced you watched this movie.
Cole, tell me something that happens in this movie.
He clubs the biker wakes up later, tries to attack Jason, at which point he cuts his hand off.
Yes, you're right.
That
was a good pull. Good pull. Do they become repetitive? Yes, but I think that's just a taste thing. I think you're either in for that or you're not. You know, I think they do as much different things as they can in the first three, that like if you're not in for just seeing the same thing kind of done different ways and seeing like in for how creative they can get, then I think it's the same for like the Terrifier movies to an extent. Like if you don't want to see art just do crazy creative things, but it's going to be relatively the same, then it might just not be for you. So I yes.
Yeah.
But
they are repetitive, and then also like it goes along though, kind of going to what Corey was alluding to, or maybe I guess it's your note here. I don't know if you said that already, but I think you guys have to be down for like, you come to see like what Jason can do or what he will do to these characters, and I think your enjoyment level goes along with, do you enjoy the characters, which I think compared to the first two movies, these are easily the weakest set of characters to this point.
Yeah.
So that, it's the hangout feel that I love about that first movie. It's still kind of present in the second movie because I like some of those characters. And this one, I think the most likable one is Vera, who is the one that's kind of hanging out with Shelley. And I think she's really likable, and the sympathy that she might have for Shelley and actually try to be his friend and understand him, and then is honest with him as well. Like, okay, this is not how you're going to make friends with this, this behavior. So, like, I feel bad when she dies, but besides that, I mean, I guess that other couple, God, what's their names? They do kind of run together.
Did you watch this movie?
Oh, come on. Of course I watched this movie. I watched this movie many times, actually. Debbie and Andy, the couple, actually, I think they even have a little detail that she's pregnant, so that kind of adds a little bit more,
Preggers.
It's kind of inappropriate to say, given that she was murdered. Cole. Way to laugh about that. It's in poor taste. But yeah, I mean, I think I kind of feel bad. I think Chris is like, they try to give Chris some backstory by saying that she's had an encounter with Jason before, and it's kind of vague there. Probably best that it's vague, because if they get too specific about what happened there, I think it could have gotten darker, and I don't think this movie possesses the type of writing to really explore what an actual assault from Jason might have entailed and the impact that might have had. It's just not that type of movie. That's not the tone here. Like I said, it's trying to be like a fun popcorn movie. So I think it's best that they don't go into too much detail there with what happened with Chris and Jason, whatever, 2 years ago, whenever that was. But yeah, I think we are officially at like kind of happy to see some of these characters die point in the series, like specifically with
I
Shelley or Rick, and then also like the two stoner characters just feel very out of place in this friend group as well. Just kind of feels like, let's get some stoner characters as well.
I don't know what it was, but the main guy stoner character kind of reminded me of Sam.
Friend of the pod? Sam Hostel?
Yeah, but I don't know what it was. No, maybe it was the beard, but like, I don't know. He was like a very
bad
friendly.
Taste, maybe?
He wasn't a bad person. No, the only one who I think is like a bad person here is, and that might even be harsh, but like Rick is kind of annoying. He's kind of overtly horny and he doesn't really listen to Chris. He's not really going about it the right way. But like they're just kind of boring, flat characters, I think. And then the biker gang is also just there to be killed as well. They're not really characters either, though. I do think the fact that like one of those bikers who, like Cole said, is alive at the end and then immediately dispatched the second he's alive. I do think that if somehow he was the final boy along with Chris, that would have been an interesting combo that they could have kept around. Well, to go along with Final Girl. That's the...
Yeah, but we've established from Scream 7, that there's a final man and a final woman these days. You can age out of it.
Sure. I do think, on the topic of the stoner guy, I do think the shot when he goes down to the basement, turns on the light, and Jason's in the background behind him, I think that was an eerie reveal. That was a well done scare there. But yeah, I think Is it repetitive? Yes, it's the formula. You have to either find comfort in the formula, and these become comfort watches. And it's kind of endearing. Like with Final Destination, like we watched all the Final Destination movies, me and my friends, and by the time you get to the sixth one, it's like, yes, you know the formula. Absolutely, you know the formula. But it's, how are they going to die? That's the fun part. And you start to like revel in the formula. Like the second you see a coin roll off to the side into a vent, everyone looks in the theater, looks at each other like, uh-oh. Like,
where's that going?
We know what's gonna happen, and we know how these things go.
That's a much better
You're
comparison.
either down for that or you're not. That's the long story short. I agree with Corey.
No, but that's exactly what it is, and they know their audience, and that's exactly what audiences want. They're not looking for something like,
you have to
Jason
give the
is
people
so,
what they want.
Jason is so revered because he is this cultural icon at this point that I need to see. Like, you can't do him wrong. It's like, no, people seem to like Jason, and I'm very new to the fandom, I'll say, so I don't know exactly what people have been saying in the cultural zeitgeist for the past 40 years.
You're not on the Reddit boards yet.
Not quite. I signed up, haven't perused it too much until after this pod, but I want it. Like, I'm gonna go back and watch the fifth one, not because I care about like Jason as a character, but because I am interested to see how it's going to happen. Like what's going, like how the step by step, how these teens are going to get murdered in this one, and how they're going to be silly, and how they're going to be like, oh, it's not going to happen to me, and maybe it's, who are we going to see try to have sex in the same house this time? Like how many different couples are going to try to do it in one house this time? And it's like, oh gosh, 5? Whoa, they're blowing things out of the water.
Corey, I think it is really funny because it's an interesting dynamic, and this might have been more interesting to bring up in 4, but since you kind of bring it up there, like, you're just interested to see like how they keep doing it or what they introduce. 2 through 4, this is like the most like repetitive part of the series, and yet I think these are definitely the better ones overall. There's a couple later that I think are also so good, but there's 7 more movies after this or whatever. Each movie from 5 on
7
is
after this. I thought there's only 8 total.
12. There's 12. There's 12 movies. So, the remake is the 12th one. Yeah,
I'm in for a long.
There's like a gimmick.
Evening.
There's a specific gimmick for each one from like
just watch it
5
while
on.
Corey's at work.
From like 5 on, there's a like
Can't
you
watch
could
them
be
all
like,
series.
oh, that one's the one with blank, or that's the one where Jason goes to blank, or like that's so like they find ways to not make it repetitive. The formula is still repetitive even within those like this new gimmick or confines that they come up with for each one. But like that's from that point on, they're really trying to like, okay, what can we throw at the wall here with this one? So to very varying results. So I'll be very curious about that. So
yeah. I'll get into my last 2 points. I think we've talked about it enough, but I'll get into the last 2 things.
Because I want to talk about 4 longer than this one.
Yeah, me too. I think we've talked about it in terms of repetitiveness. One of my points was that it really sticks with the tropes that it establishes for itself. I think we just talked about Scream in the last episode. Well, not the last episode, like the last episode at this point. But we just talked about Scream and how they talk about the tropes in horror movies today. This one, once it establishes tropes, it kind of says like, well, that's how Friday the 13th work, And so I think that goes, again, positives and negatives to that. But in this one, it's very evident that they are like, nope, we've established this and we are sticking with it. And I think it's just, in the second one, somewhat they're like, oh, this is how the first one was laid out. We should stick with that. And this one, it's like, okay. They are letting you know exactly, like,
you get what you get, and you don't get upset.
Exactly. That being said, I think they might take that a little too, not personal, but like they internalize that a little too much, because the writing, I felt like, really took a dip in this. And not saying the writing is anything they hang their hats on in the second one or in the first one, but I think in this one they're like, well, this is kind of what these movies are, so we'll just kind of put this out and like do whatever we like. It doesn't really matter. And I think that's what hurts this movie the most, because the things I liked about it, I think I really liked about it. I really liked how Chris at the very end, as we talked about, had the vision, or had like a dream or a daydream, whatever it was, where she saw Jason and was getting attacked by Jason again. But we establish that that did not happen. I really liked that whole sequence. I really liked how Jason was in this movie and how he acted and how we saw the full body and how he's a little bit sillier in this movie, even though it's not like he's not like laughing like Art the Clown, you know. He's not trying to be theatrical, but he is like he when you're on screen, it's not, or when he's on screen, it's not like you're like, oh my gosh, what's he gonna do? It's like, what's he gonna do? Like he's running after her.
It kind of falls into the level of Michael Myers where it's the man with the child's mind, but Jason's playing it like he's a little kid.
Yeah, you know what? Yes, I'll agree with that. I don't know if it's as close to Michael, but in that sense, it is. In that sense, it is. But the things I didn't like about this movie were like the cast of characters as a whole just weren't as entertaining to me.
Yeah.
And I think that could have been done better. And honestly, this movie could have been maybe one of the better ones. And like 2 through 4 could have been like one of the best trilogies in horror. I don't know, maybe not, probably not. But like, I think this could have been better than just like, oh, it's sandwiched between 2 better movies. Like, I think it could have been like, this is a very consistent trilogy.
Yeah.
If they were to put that kind of effort into the overall cast.
I'm gonna make my point better here and just cut out what I said about characters earlier because I was kind of rambling there. I'll just dump on what you're saying here and kind of make my point. Yeah. Thank you, Cole. I think this is the first time where you have characters that are like annoying. Like actually, like not like, okay, there are characters that aren't memorable, like scattered in the previous 2 movies. I think a lot of them are likable. I think this is the first one where you have like characters where I'm actively like, God, this person sucks. You know, like Rick, I think he's annoying. And I think Shelley, like we were kind of talking about, is also annoying. He's fun to make stickers of and send in group chats. That's for sure.
As
but
you did yesterday.
Yes, I did. And I'll probably find more. I think that we're ripe for more Shelley stickers for sure. And he deserves credit for giving Jason his mask, of course. But like that, and then like the stoner characters, yeah, just not memorable. And it feels like a disjointed group of friends that I don't really buy. The lived-in feel from the last 2 movies that I liked, and we talked about more in the first one, not present here with these characters. I don't feel the history with these characters here. And so I care less when they die. Besides maybe like, they're not all unlikable. Like Debbie and Andy aren't like unlikable. They're just, they're just not very memorable. I think Vera is the most likable one, and that's the one that's hanging out with Shelley. And her death is that's a good 3D death with the arrow, like shot across the lake at her eye. Yeah, it's a tough one.
I don't like how he's hiding behind a post.
Well, he's just kind of like, I don't think he's like trying to hide. I think he's just kind of like getting inching closer to her. Like he doesn't even know what he's gonna do yet. Like I think he's. Like kind of goes in the child's mind thing that Cole was talking about. I don't think he's not setting up for his shot here, like kneeling down and aiming. He's just kind of like, I'm gonna get you. I can aim this gun at her. Yeah, she's like, hey, don't do that. I think that's one of the better kills in the movie for sure. And Corey, like you said, it's the tropes that they're establishing here. I think in the second movie you don't really see this. I mean, there's continuity, but I think the third one, this is where actively referencing itself now with I think the Debbie and Andy death is a callback to, or the Debbie death specifically, I mean, with Andy's body above her is a callback to the Kevin Bacon death in the first movie. It's a direct callback with the blood landing on her, and then Jason is under the hammock and then kills her.
Yeah.
So and I think that's also one of the stronger ones in the movie because he looks grody up there. So that's pretty scary. And then the jump out scare of the mom's corpse at the end with all the worms and gook on her and all that. That's, obviously it's directly referencing the end of the first one with Jason jumping out of the water. So.
Zach does love some oopy goopiness.
I love oopy goopy. And while she doesn't look great overall, they definitely made her look really good oopy goopy there at the end when she jumps out and pulls Chris in. So yeah, we definitely settled into the routine there, and we're referencing ourselves, and yeah, we're self-reflexive now, but to varying results. But yeah, I think that's about part 3'd out for now. We can move on to the award season.
The awards.
Apparently they strayed off course, and we're fairly certain they're in guerrilla hands.
So why don't you use the regular army? What do you need us for?
Because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
Season.
Sorry to step on your transition there.
No, you're okay.
So Corey, cut out all the stuff I said about characters after Cole did his thing because I was like rambling there, and I think I distilled it better when you were talking about it.
That's fair. I could do that. Zach, I believe you're first. No, Cole, you're first.
Oh.
sorry, Zach.
It's okay. I don't think you guys are going to take my guy. I'm not worried about it.
I'm going Dana Kimmel the final girl in
Chris Higgins.
this, Chris Higgins.
The classic final
yeah.
girl, Chris Higgins.
Yeah, I thought it was cool to see a final girl. Yeah, we talked about it with Jenny in the last one, but the final girl actually takes on the killer in like the physical aspect of the sense of that, not the psychological aspect. And I thought that was really cool to see, and she played that very well, in my opinion.
When she gets that axe in his head, that's
she
cool.
might be. Like looking back on it, she is probably the prettiest, yes. But also
agree with that take.
Yeah. She's also just kind of the most fun. She's not like really down on herself throughout this movie, and she's a fun character.
She's having to fend off Rick the whole movie. Like she needs like a spray bottle to like spray in the face. Like no,
get away,
no,
like get away.
She's like lamenting, you know, this traumatic event that happened to her 2 years ago here, and Rick is just like, so when are we banging? And he's just not reading the room.
Rick is Dennis Reynolds before Dennis Reynolds, and after she says this, naturally,
here's the thing: is Dennis, and I'm not saying this to endorse Dennis Reynolds' behavior. The whole point of the show is that he's reprehensible. They all are. Dennis would be a lot smoother about it than Rick was here.
You're the one that's good.
Yeah, but you know what, Cole, and I can tell. I think Dana Kimmel, from what I've gathered from other podcasts and like, you know, the Reddit forums that you mentioned, or like just tweets, she's not really regarded as one of the strongest final girls in this series, but I think she gets a bad rep. I think she's actually I think this is her film debut. I think on her Wikipedia page she doesn't have a movie before this, so
let's see.
I think she does fine. I think I like the character, so yeah, good pick. Yeah.
Yep.
Film
debut.
I am up next. I am you know what? I'm not exactly sure. I'm stuck between two. You know, I think I'm gonna
ahead if you don't wanna.
I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Steve Miner, the director of this movie. Like I said, there are lots of things I liked. I don't think the direction of this movie, I don't think how it was filmed, that was a big positive for me. Overall, how they shot Jason, the direction they took Jason was something I thought they should continue for the next movie and moving forward, because I thought that really worked well for this movie. And I think Steve Marner, he having done the previous one and going,
I'm sorry, his name.
Sorry,
you just said it.
Relax. Steve. Well, I just call him Steve usually when we're hanging out. Right. But Steve
and Paul.
Yeah,
your friend Paul. From
his name
movie.
is Peter.
Sorry.
I know. Way to get religious. I think Steve Miner is the best part of this movie, and I think he really makes Jason memorable, and he gives Jason his iconic look.
Yeah. He went on to direct Halloween H2O, which is Halloween 7. That's the one that I like. Yeah, it's the one that I'm pushing Corey to watch eventually. Yeah.
Can I watch it without seeing?
You can watch it with. I think the only one you would have to watch before it is 2. It picks up after 2 and it ignores 3 through 6.
Did we cover 2?
No, we have not. You've not seen Halloween 2.
I have not seen Halloween 2.
Though part 3
did
irrelevant.
Halloween through, which we should have probably covered Halloween 2 because it's referenced in Halloween Kills, isn't it?
It's okay. To bring it up really quickly, this was a sticking point for me. This was a sticking point for me. The new Halloween trilogy erased all the sequels from 2 through whatever, and it said it's only a sequel to that first movie. Yet, because Halloween 2 is the reveal that Laurie is Michael's sister, they got rid of that for the new trilogy. So it's just first one and then new trilogy. Yet in Halloween Kills, they are doing, they do a lot of flashbacks to the first movie when they show certain characters.
They have one from.
They have clip from Halloween 2, which is a movie that does not exist in that canon, and I think that's really, really annoying to me.
Who's the guy that's in charge of those movies? What's his name?
David Gordon Green.
No,
David Gordon Green.
No,
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride.
Well,
see. This is
David Gordon Green. It is. I mean, David Gordon Green directed them and wrote them with Danny McBride. Why are you singling out Danny McBride specifically?
This is why he wasn't selected in the Rapture, and this is the end. That's why.
Another Halloween thing is one of the original ideas for Friday Part 3 was following Ginny in the hospital or a mental asylum or whatever they would have done, but it would have been Jason tracking her down there. So it would have stuck with the girl from the last movie and left the camp settings. Not sure how that would have turned out. I kind of like that we kind of stuck with what we know here. With
I don't think the franchise was ready for that.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Harry Manfredini, who does the score for like I think most if not all of these Jason movies. Maybe not the remake. I don't think
He
with Freddy vs.
was
Jason,
the
but-
consistent factor on each Wikipedia page. Yes.
Yeah. So I like the Friday score. It's not, you don't have like, the first two movies, you don't have like a propulsive theme like Halloween or just that really eerie, dreamy one from Nightmare on Elm Street, the piano riff in that they do, or the piano chords in that I really like. But this, I think when people think of Halloween or Friday the 13th music, they think of like the like that thing, and they kind of think like that's like the
Can you do that
the
again?
Friday thing. Yeah. So that I think Cole, we joked about it earlier. Cole brought it up. I love that disco main theme at the beginning of this movie. I think it is so fun and so catchy, and it's diegetic. You hear it in the gas station when they're in that gas station thing with the bikers. It's like the music playing in the gas
I
station.
will say this: it sets the tone.
It does.
It sets the tone of, okay, this isn't your mom's Friday the 13th.
I don't know why you have to bring up my mom in every episode we do. Man, I just don't get it.
I was talking to Zach.
But the eerie music also works well. Like there's a part like when Dana gets the axe into or the machete or whatever into the side of Jason's head, and then he like stops and then puts his arms out and keeps coming at her. The music that happens there, it's like a weird. I'm gonna play it right there, and I'm gonna add that to the episode. But it's really
like
kind
over your talking of it. Just
no, I'm gonna play it instead of me doing the sound. I'm gonna put it there, but that music, I think, I don't know.
The music that's gonna play right now.
That's how it sounds. That is how it sounds. And then even like the final notes, and when we zoom in on Jason's body in the barn, I think the score really is always a strong point in these movies. So yeah, Harry Manfredini.
I agree. On to
review section.
The reviews.
Says that they insist on outside opinions.
What kind of opinions?
Well, you're kind not to put too fine a point on it. I mean, let's face it, in your particular field, you're the top minds.
Sorry.
Corey, you're the host.
The host. You're the host. Cole, what do you think of this movie?
If only I could have experienced the 3D theatrical experience as the filmmakers intended. Maybe it would have stuck the landing. 1.5 out of 5.
Oh my God. Cole, I can tell you this right now. If you saw how bad this series really gets, you would wish that you left more room on the lower half of your scale.
On my twos.
Your scale is not all encompassing. That is what I will tell you. You do not encompass a wide spectrum of quality in films if this is a 1.5.
You know, I didn't like your review for the last one we did. This one, I get it a little bit more, but you were just very, very brutal to these films when they were just trying to bring you joy. You know, that's all they're trying to do. I think
usually I'm more positive.
I know.
That's the thing.
It's very. I don't even know how to respond to it. My turn.
I'm going through some stuff. Okay.
Oh gosh. Now we have to talk about what's going on. No, I'm sorry. My review. Muddled with bad writing and horniness, Part 3 finds its stride in the paranormal confusion that is Jason, a shining star in a dark sky of self-made tropes that are already getting a little bit played out in this world. 2.25. Sorry, I misspelled something. That's why I stuttered. I put self-man instead of self-made tropes.
Whether it's eye popping or eye rolling. Friday 3.
Where's the Emmy? Where's the Emmy?
Actually, Golden Globe, we could win Best Podcast.
Friday 3D just wants you to have a good time. 3 out of 5.
Whoa, 3.
So it's my lowest to this point.
Zach really likes this movie.
I like that part where she goes down and opens the barn door thinking that he's dead. And she just like opens the door, and the way that he's hanging, he's just like angled, staring right at her when the barn door opens. That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part of the movie.
On to the action for the final chapter.
Even the opening scene, there's always some random girl who gets a call that undoubtedly ends up getting her killed. It's also predictable. There's no element of surprise. You can see everything coming. Ow!
Did that surprise you?
Why?
Because you talk too much. Now shut the fuck up and watch the movie.
Question mark?
Cool. What happened in this movie?
Zach, what happened in this movie?
Okay.
This one, there's a little bit more that goes on.
Jason is taken to the morgue, believed to be dead, and he's not. He escapes the hospital, kills the hospital workers, returns to the Crystal Lake setting, where the Jarvis family is living. The mom and her 2 kids, Trish and Tommy. And across the pond from them, some kids are moving in for the weekend to have a good time, including Crispin Glover. So, what you would assume plays out. You know, maybe we have a character trying to get revenge for the death of his sister thrown in there, that he gets cut down in his prime as well. But it comes down to just Trish and Tommy back at their house. Their mom is already dead, and Tommy tricks Jason, similar to kind of how Ginny did, but not with a vision of his mother, but by the younger version of himself. And it gives him pause enough for him and Trish to defeat him for good. Question
Tommy
mark?
go crazy.
Tommy, yeah. But at the final point is, how did getting into the shoes of Jason as a child affect Tommy for the rest of his life as well? So, because he's looking like he might have turned a corner as well in that last shot of the movie. So that's the gist of Friday the 13th, the final.
Tommy
chapter.
go crazy.
So I'm first on the docket for going through show and tell. And I do have something to bring up. And this is a question I'm pretty interested in talking about. Whether it's Friday the 13th, Halloween, Scream, what, like, even beyond that, like, I didn't think of any examples for beyond horror movies, but I think in general there is a certain lack of reverence for finality in Hollywood.
I mean, you could say like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Great example, Cole. Absolute great example. There's a lack of reverence for leaving characters be. We talked about this a little bit in part 2, where we were like, Zach, you said, I'm glad Ginny was done. I'm glad she was able to just move on. It was a moment in Jason's story, but it does not mean her and Jason's stories are going to cross over forever. You know,
This
like,
does
you
not
like
have
that.
to define Ginny's life, the rest of Ginny's life.
Correct.
Same thing for Chris, but it probably does, unfortunately.
It did
It
not
looks
look
that way.
good. It did not look good for her. But maybe this is me looking at it now, knowing there's a 5 through 12. Right? Is that what you said? There
Well,
are
it's
more
5
movies.
through 11, and then 12 is kind of a reboot, remake.
There's more movies to come. Knowing that, it's hard watching this with any sort of like, it ends here, you know. And that was me coming in without knowing what was going to happen. After watching it, I really felt like they put the final chapter label on this, but they left it very much open for something else to happen at the very end, you know, with that final shot of Corey Feldman, and he is just staring at the camera like crazy. And it in my mind, it looked like, oh my gosh, did Jason's spirit go into him and now he is going to be the new Jason or something along those lines?
Oh, Corey, you just wait.
It just didn't look like they wanted to put a period on this story. It didn't look like they were done with this story. Does that affect you? And do you think this has any sort of impact on the overall feeling on finality in Hollywood and the sort of like how we talk about it, how we talk about the end of a series? Do you think they should have ended the series here? Like, not saying hit your buzzer, because I don't even think I'm hitting my buzzer, but like if you're putting the word final on it, like it feels like it should wrap up some of the story, like wrap up a story in some sense. And this didn't really feel like it wrapped it
I
up.
think this movie was designed to, and obviously it didn't play out that way, but this movie is designed for this to be the last time that you see Jason Voorhees as the killer. And I think just going off of the end of this movie, they were leaving the door open if they wanted to for a Tommy to end up being a killer.
Tommy the 13th.
Like the cyclical nature of the violence, with how, you know, the way that Jason started killing after his mother was killed, and now, you know, Tommy's mom didn't make it, and he'll probably follow similar footsteps, though his motives would be less clear in this regard, given that it was Jason who killed his mother, not, horny teenagers. So
And it's also follows that kind of nature of who's going to be the next killer, and of how we got at the end of Halloween 2018. What's Laurie's granddaughter's name? They cut to like her
Tatum?
holding the knife as
Allison.
Yeah, they cut to Allison holding the knife as if, okay, Alice is going to pick up the mask and Allison is going to be,
That's what you got from that?
I think it's going to be the broom kid from Last Jedi.
I wonder where his story will go.
That wasn't the point.
Media literacy was high back then when that movie came out, and it has only gotten worse in the years since. Yeah, I think at this point I watch Final Chapter. I've embraced the absurdity of Friday the 13th as a whole, just the lengths they go to keep it going, and like the different avenues they explore with the Jason character and lore. But I think I can look at this as a final enough bookend to this first set of movies. This feels like a good stopping point for that first 4 movies. Because 1, 2, 3, and 4 take place in like a 1-week span or less. So like he's a busy boy.
Right.
And I think this is a nice button at the end of that. And I interpret it, some people think that Jason is supernatural at the start of this movie and that he was actually dead and came back to life in 4. They don't really go into specifics. He is breathing when they put him into the ice box in this movie. It's one of my favorite shots of the movie, actually, is when the body gets loaded onto like the tray to be put into at the morgue, the hospital morgue. You do see his breath, and it's a very cool looking shot. And
I must have missed that. Gotta go back and watch it.
It's subtle. They don't do like a big musical sting. It's just a subtle
Gotta
little
see if
shot
my
there.
prime rental period's over.
It's really a nice touch. So I think he's alive, and for whatever reason, his vitals were that low, or just the way they found him with an axe in the head. They're just like, he's dead.
Done.
He's dead.
He's done.
But I do think he is definitively a dead human being by the end of this movie. Now, how they bring him back, Corey, I'm excited for you to watch.
I'm going to find out tonight. I'm watching right after this.
You're watching New Beginning today?
Nice.
I'm going to watch 5 right after this. I'm in the middle of a Game of Thrones episode, but then after that, I'm going to watch.
Corey,
what episode?
Besides the point.
Don't worry about it. So yeah, I think there's enough finality for me, at least at this section of the series, in hindsight. I think if I saw it then, and for not knowing that there would be that many sequels after, I'd still be annoyed by the Tommy thing. But like, Jason's dead at the end of this movie. I think that story is concluded. So, and they didn't waste much time though. New Beginning, it's easy to be cynical about Hollywood. New Beginning is what part 5 is called. Pretty lazy title, and it comes out a year after this movie. They did not waste any time.
It's weird because we're talking about reverence in Hollywood for like closing and putting a button on it. This was in the 80s. We're 40 years removed from this movie, and we're still kind of like, okay, did Hollywood have a point to end it here?
Well, this movie also started, and I didn't know this until we did the podcast, but like, Zach, you said that this movie was made for, like, Sean Cunningham made this movie in the hopes to make money. Like, he did not make a movie thinking, like, I am going to make
You said
an
there was a
iconic
poster
slasher.
before the movie.
Yeah, which
correct?
was like,
before a script, yeah.
Yeah, which like, it's the best thing to do is make a logo before you have a business, like that's what you usually do. That's that's the order and which things go.
45 plus years later, and we're talking about it.
No, I know,
So it worked.
No, and
You're talking about it.
I understand that, and so, but like the way this movie came about was not out of like, I think we could do a cool different version of a slasher, and I want to do it this way, just because I have all these cool or like these interesting creative ways of like kill scenes that would be so entertaining, and I think that would be something that people need to see, and this is how I'm going to do it. Like that, he's not looking for an outlet, he is looking to make money. And so I think this is like it was foreshadowing within Hollywood to show that like it comes back after a year and there's no reverence for the finality. But like, Zach, you are getting into this industry, the filmmaking industry, right? I think people get into it who are creative, art loving people. Is that wrong? That's the sense I get from you. Do you
Not
love
as-
He
art?
Not all
also
of them.
wants
Not
to
all of
make
them.
money.
Well, are you saying like actors and directors?
Oh yeah, sure. But there's there's a whole other section of people who are like
I know
wanna
there's
be
a whole
producers
business.
that
There's
are-
a whole business side that's not why they get into it. But like
Yeah.
the people that create these movies, and the people who are like the ones we see
Yeah.
on screen, the ones we know who are directly behind the camera, they are doing it for the love of the art.
Love of
and
the
they were doing,
game. Love of
yeah.
the game.
And I think when you have them like you put a final chapter and then a movie comes out a year later, they would have had to like either already filmed or like it would have had to be greenlit by the time this movie came out at that point, right?
Mhm.
Like things don't move
someone-
that fast.
Well, watch 5 and tell me if you think that they needed a lot of time to.
Well, a
to
year is
cobble
not
that
a
one
lot.
together.
A year is not a lot of time. Like I don't think that's a lot of time at all. But
I'm not kidding. I think most of the time you would be correct. I genuinely
Okay.
do think
Okay,
they were
well-
like, "Whoa, first making some money. We can't really stop, can we?"
so I think it might be more foreshadowing than it is anything else because I think for a while there was some sort of a reference that kind of just dissipated over time, and people said like, "But money," like that Mr. Krabs.
I mean, there's reverence, and then there's there's more story to tell. For sake of argument, we're getting a Social Network sequel.
Disagree with. There's always more stories to tell.
There's sometimes more story to tell. I'm not
I'm not
always.
disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, Cole. I disagree
But
with
you're,
just
Hollywood.
people say that there's more story to tell.
But for the sake of argument, we're getting a Social Network sequel that Aaron Sorkin is writing and directing, and the idea is that we learned about how Facebook was created. Now we need to learn how Facebook has changed and been corrupted and how it affected, not to get political, certain things.
Oh, so political. Certain things. Jeez,
What's the matter, vague boy? Afraid you might say something?
It's a line.
Afraid Ben's going to get on your case by listening to this.
So, but you can continue a story in the right way. I'm not saying they're doing it in the right way necessarily here because, with horror films, they make a lot of money. We need a sequel. John Carpenter, was he really involved in Halloween 2, Zach?
He wrote it and did the score and produced it.
So much.
So he wrote it, and then after that, it was somebody else's ball game.
After 3.
Yeah. So there comes a fine line, and is there more story to tell? Is there, more I can do with this character? And this is a franchise where it's like, I think I say it in my point, they're campfire stories. It's what happened at Camp Crystal Lake. That's really where the story is for me. If you take me out of there, I don't think I'm as interested because it's what cruel thing has been done at this lake type deal.
It's all one big old lake area. I mean, we're not far from, the camp. Like in the way they signify that, Jason.
Zach just wants him to go to Manhattan.
No, actually, oh God, don't get me started. When Jason... Exciting, yeah. Take him to the big city. He's gonna
Jason's single in a big city.
Jason gets a job as a community coordinator.
The city
What's
planner
that?
in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Jason, when Jason gets back to after escaping the hospital, which by the way, side note, I think out of all the opening kills in these 4 movies, I think the opening scene in this one is easily my favorite. I think all the hospital stuff is great. Between Axel and that nurse that he's flirting with. I think that
he's just watching TV, waiting to be
watching
murdered,
it.
basically.
I mean, them watching this stuff and them about to hook up in the morgue with the body behind them. They're watching the news channel of them talking about the murders, and it's the guy's like, "That's you, big guy," talking to the corpse behind him, and the killer was taken to blah 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 hospital, and the nurse is like, "Yay, that's us," it's, I don't know. I do love that setup, but and then
It's like it's a
kills
small
him.
business.
Yeah, the exposure, oh, we're famous. But Jason escapes, and then
people come here.
The kill that we have to signify, Jason is back at the lake, is that hitchhiker that the kids pass right, by the gravestones. the highway side cemetery where we see Pamela Voorhees' gravestone, and like around there is where Jason kills that hitchhiker, and she like squeezes the banana out of her hand.
That's so good.
It is so good, yeah. Even a little side character like that who has like no lines has like enough to be like Canada or bus, and then the sign on the other side says like fuck you or something. It's like even she has like a bit of character, I think. So that's nice. But yeah, it's the camp is it's not all about the camp, it's about the lake, I guess is what it comes down to. So if Cole, what you're saying is you lose the camp specific aspect,
you
the
lose
lake,
the
general lake setting
of...
isn't enough for you to hook you back in. It has to be like the camp thing, that the camp feel that 1 and 2 might have.
I mean, this one also, I will say this was probably, out of these 3, this was probably my favorite.
Spoilers.
And there wasn't a camp setting, but it was the vibe of, oh, we're going to this lake, we're gonna hang out. The hangout vibe, I think, is
Love
what
the hangout vibe.
The cast is a lot more fun at
this
this one. Yeah, the cast is a lot more fun at this one as opposed
Right
to
away.
number 2 or number 3. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, right away is like the Jarvis family, bringing a family dynamic into this is something fresh right off the bat.
It's not just sexed up, you know.
Though we have them, but we do have the family. The family aspect is something really. It kind of adds to the stakes a little bit because it feels like more like, oh, I mean, these aren't just horny kids. This is like a mom and like a child, and so that was my point, is bringing the family. And I have like I wrote Friday is family, so I have like the Jarvis,
Yeah, I saw that.
the Jarvis family here. So Corey Feldman, big '80s actor. This is like the youngest I've seen Corey Feldman. I think this is the same year as Gremlins, so he's in Gremlins a little bit too this same year. But this is like definitely a distinctly younger Corey Feldman than like Goonies and Stand By Me and Lost Boys. So so there's the child. We talked about this in Scream 7 because you guys rejected my like what if Sydney's younger kids were still in this?
But the children in peril, as Zach
does
said.
Jason, when Jason crashes through that window and is about to pull Tommy out of the window, is that like, oh, we're going too far here? Or do you like having a young kid as part of the main surviving characters here?
It's not that we're just putting him in we're not just putting Tommy in danger to put him in danger. I mean, he's there and this killer is on the loose. I think it's very different, like, than just having them there to have the kids there. Like, yes, in Scream 7, they were conveniently in Denver, Colorado. Here, like, his family went on this trip. It's not like they're going to leave their son at home.
Well, no, I think they live there.
I thought it was like vacation, and
I think the kids across all the horny kids coming in are on on a trip. But I think the Jarvis family actually lives there. I mean, the kid has like all these masks that he made upstairs.
And putting Tommy there, it works in this sense because we're not just saying, oh, here's a kid. It's like, no, this woman is going through a divorce. She is living with her son and her daughter here. It works for the setting of the movie. It's not like, Terrifier, where Art the Clown is putting a bomb in the middle of the mall and he's dressing up like Santa. There are very different levels of what we're doing.
That is a different level, and kids actually die in this. Tommy doesn't die in this. I don't know what it would look like here. And again, but my point with Scream 7 wasn't that the kids would die. I was just saying it would be a whole other level of intensity
Dynamic,
for Sydney to have to deal with. Like to contend with seeing Sydney as a mother is a way we haven't seen her. Instead, we see her; she is a mother. We don't have to see her be a mother as much as I wanted to.
Here's the thing: if you would have had all 3 of her kids in Scream 7 and none of them die, and none of her family dies, it's like, what are even the stakes?
Well, see, and then that brings me back to what I was saying in like Friday Part 2. Is just like then, like I mean, at a certain point, bringing back a certain character so many times is like, we're either doing a disservice to the character by putting her through so much, or doing a disservice to like the reality of the world because we're pushing believability so much that these characters aren't dying.
Right, but going beyond just like, oh, if you were beyond that, it's just Sydney. If you have a full family at the center and you have multiple kids who are very young, I mean, Tatum was probably on the older end where it's like, okay, like if one of her kids were going to die, you would assume it was going to be her, and you would assume it was going to be because she was trying to like prove her mom wrong and going to try to fight Ghostface on her own. and like making a dumb decision somehow.
Yeah.
But if you have like just a family focus where you have multiple young kids and none of them die, yes, it stretches the believability, and not because like, oh, these characters keep coming back and it's like you got to have some finality to them. It's just because the nature of these movies, it feels like if none of her family dies, and it's like, okay, well, she can move on now. Like, yes, this has happened, but it's happened. It feels like happens every 5 years for her. So it's like nothing really new is happening, and she was able to save her entire family. So it doesn't really have too much an effect on it, like, emotionally. But in this one, since you have just Corey Feldman, you just have Tommy here.
Yeah.
And he, like, yes, his life looks at risk. It looks like he is going to get the Jason treatment in a sense. Like
Jason throws like a hammer and it misses his face by like an inch.
No,
like lodges
that was,
into the wall.
That was Trish. That it came really close. But yes, I was like, whoa! He just
when he like busts through
thing.
that door. When he like busts through that door, just great GIF.
Yeah,
I love the Trish getting him to run downstairs and Jason's little like shimmy like.
Oh yeah, when he's like blocking.
Yeah. Like, what am I gonna do?
But
what am I gonna do?
It doesn't stretch the believability that one Tommy could survive. But if she was watching 3 kids at the time and
believability's out the window.
Well, and all of them survived, then yes, it does. Like, okay, now we're getting into like the sense of like, what was even the point of that? If all of them survive, but I can believe that Trish, because like it just jumps into like, I have to protect my family mode, and like does whatever she can to protect one person, and is able to do that with some help from like Tommy being somewhat competent, like not he is still believable for his age, but is still like is competent enough that it's like, okay, this leads to
he works out what he can psychologically try to do to distract Jason
Tommy
based off of
taking
the news
a
stories.
straight edge razor to his head.
He does that probably quicker than anyone possibly could. But
well, I mean, that's kind of the goal of it too, like not to be completely bald.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't look great, but I think I love the Corey Feldman character in this, or at least just having that character, because it works in Halloween really well with Tommy Doyle. He's like, when you watch this Halloween as a kid, Tommy Doyle is like the surrogate for you as an audience member. Like, oh my God, I see this guy across the street and no one believes me. This is really scary.
Yeah.
The boogeyman.
And they do it. They go back to that in Halloween 4 and 5 with Danielle Harris's character, Jamie Lloyd. And I really like her character in those movies too. So Tommy Doyle is that version, at least in this movie. So I think that's a strong point of differentiation with this, along with the family thing in general. And I think the mom death is, does add that level of tragedy a bit to it, because it's like, oh man, even though these kids survived, it's like, oh, man, their mom died. That's pretty dark. And maybe even the dog. We don't know if the dog got thrown out the window or jumped out the window. We're not sure. It's not really clear.
Oh, what was his name?
Gordo.
Gordon.
Yeah, he's like, come on, Gordon, we're too young to see this.
You need to stay here with Gordon, and I'm gonna go down there in the basement.
Yeah,
and then she's like, where is Gordon?
Yeah. And I mean, and I know we're critiquing like the ending with him opening his eyes, but even if they didn't have that, there is a level of like, even though these 2 characters survived, this kid is definitely, like we're talking about with Chris, not the same. I mean, this kid just hacked his mom dead, but also he hacked this guy to pieces.
Yeah.
And she's like screaming, Tommy, no.
Yeah, that's a pretty dark
as he's
for that character,
as he's doing this. That shot of like Corey Feldman with the machete, and he's
cultural appropriation.
What?
Say it again.
Machete?
That is not how you said it.
So, but the whole family aspect, that's one aspect of it. But I kind of think about this like this. I've heard this. I'm not going to take credit for this. Other people have said this. It's like almost like you drop Jason.
Said it?
They said it, but I've also seen it, tweets about it and all that. Jason is dropped into like a coming of age movie here, with not just the family, but also even like the kid characters. Who Corey, I see your note is like, oh, the cast feels more likable here, and I think I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think a lot of the plot lines that we're giving to this friend group, which to counter part 3, I think we're back to having a believable friend group here. Very believe these characters are friends.
Yes.
That we have Crispin Glover as Jim is coming off of a breakup with was it Blowjob Betty, I believe was the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
broke up with Blowjob Betty?
so
Oh, come
and
on,
it, you know,
man.
his mean friend Teddy, you know, has a fictional computer that he types stuff in on and then looks at the results. That's
Put this
but
in your computer. That's what
But
it
yeah,
says.
but Jim dealing with, you know, the the breakup and his insecurity, Teddy learning very quickly that his method of wooing women is way off, just way off. So we're also the Sarah character, you know, she's probably the most typical version of like, you know, sex equals death in slasher movie rules, like the fact that she like loses her virginity and then dies after. But she's kind of going through like a coming of age type of storyline too. What's her face? I think Sam is the name of the girl who goes out onto the boat alone. Like her being so confident in her relationship and then getting jealous that her boyfriend is dancing with one of the twins. All of these like plot lines, which feel like you could just lift them out of like, you know, your typical teen movie, specifically a teen 80s, like an 80s teen movie. And I think they're mostly all like me. There's a couple characters who are kind of forgettable. Like I think Sam's boyfriend, like I can't really tell you anything about him besides like he has a hat.
What was his name?
Paul.
What was his name?
I think it was Paul because I remember Sam goes like, because Sarah's like, you do it with everyone. She's like, I don't do it with everyone. I do it with Paul. You know, like that's I remember that line, so I know his name is Paul. So I only know it because of when another character is talking.
Sam.
Yeah, but yeah, all of these characters, I think they're all unique. Yeah, that's a tough death for her. Yeah, out on the boat there. Yeah, but that's why I think this movie works really well. It's like we're back to I like to hang out with these characters.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's funny. I think it's a funny movie. Genuinely, I think it's the funniest one to this point in the series.
Yeah. This is the first one where I was like, I felt like the characters could have led the movie if it was like a feature-length film, like if it was a full 2 hours instead of just an hour and a half. I still like the runtime. I don't think they should have just added stuff for the sake of adding things, but if they would have had enough story for a 2-hour movie, I think this cast could have carried it and not felt like it was dragging along.
Definitely a strong cast of characters. A great cast of characters, Alec.
Yep.
Cool. Did you have a thought about this movie? Anything for show and tell?
By the end of this movie, these don't feel cohesive. Each movie feels like it's kind of its own thing with limited continuity that ties the first one to the second one to the third one to the fourth one. They almost feel like, as a story's told, as you guys know, a campfire story, everyone tells it differently. And that's how these movies kind of feel to me.
I could see that, especially that would kind of excuse the Jason looking different a little bit in each one.
Yeah.
That kind of works. I think this one, though, I think in terms of connection, I think coming off of 2, I definitely see that, what you're saying, Cole. I think the way this movie starts, though, with the exact crime scene at the end of 3, with that really cool crane shot. Like, by the way, right away, you can see that this movie has the highest budget of the 4. With like that opening, like one-er shot of like the whole crime scene with all the ambulances and the helicopter.
Maxing out that $2.2 million budget right there.
I think it and put to good use. I really like the way this movie starts. I love picking up right where we left off with Jason on the ground and then being loaded into the morgue and then being like, oh, we have blah, blah, blah amount of bodies. You know, that I think picking up right where that left, that does work for me here. But, and also I wanted to say, I know the previous 2 movies have like recaps from the end of the previous movie to start. This one has like a recap edit of like it's like a actual, we're not playing a sequence. We're just doing an edit of like the campfire story that Paul tells in part 2 with like, you know, quick cuts to different kills and stuff. And it's like, and then it goes into the final chapter with like an explosion. And I'm like, awesome. I'm fired up. Like
I'm back. We're back. Phone's ringing. I picked it up. We're back called.
Yeah. So like that's that. I think it's cohesive enough for me in that regard. But I think there are the way that they do kind of repeat a little bit, like you were saying during part 3. I think I can see the campfire story point you're making there, Cole. And I like, but here's the thing, that would be a positive for me. Like I said, like I was talking about the part 2, is I love the idea of this being like an urban legend about this lake here, is that, and the killer who kind of stalks the woods around it. So I wouldn't have a problem with it in that regard. But you guys have any oh, I was gonna say, I feel like we should bring it up because it's not a specific point. I love the Crispin Glover dance sequence when he turns on that rock music and has like a spastic like sort of dance with one of the twins. It's not a
He's
normal
doing-
dance. It's not
I
normal.
can see why he got the role of George McFly. I could hear little George McFly
His hair
nuances
looks
in
great.
the like puffy in the
Yeah.
front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
He's
a
an
look.
easy character to root for in this movie. I think I am happy for him when he's so insecure. He's like, was I good? And she's like, oh yeah, you were great, or whatever. Or like, was I a dead fuck, or whatever he says.
Yeah. That's
That's the statement that like haunting him the whole movie. Yeah, that's the friendship between him and Teddy feels really believable to me. Like there's like a quick cut like when they're arriving at the house and Teddy's like, oh, like calls him a dead fuck again. Like it's like something like, you're a dead fuck, and then he's like, I really wish you would stop calling me that. And then Teddy's like, oh, come on. Like where Teddy can see that, oh, he's actually bothered Jim, so he's like, oh, come on, don't take it seriously. Like it's like little things like that. Or like when Sarah says goodnight to Teddy after like asking the really pretty boy to sleep in her bunk tonight, and she goes up and says goodnight to Teddy, and then once she's upstairs, like Teddy like turns around and gives that guy a look like, nice. like good for you. Like because he was there the whole time. Little things like that, just you believe the friendship with these kids, like I was saying.
On to the
Yeah, go ahead.
awards season.
Apparently they strayed off course, and we're fairly certain they're in guerrilla hands.
So why don't you use the regular army? What do you need us for?
Because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
Okay, make sure.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
That's what happened.
That's what we're doing.
Ironically, though we all say Anchorman 1 is better, we all do say that. We quote that line from Anchorman 2. Probably more than we
Try
quote
to kill
anything
myself?
from Anchorman 1.
Yeah. My
That's
MVP
what
for this
happened.
movie, kind of picking up right where I left off there. My MVP is going to be Joseph Zito, the director of this movie, because I think this movie feels like a big step up from the previous movies, just from a directorial standpoint. Like you see the bigger budget. I think he's got a great grasp on the family characters and like the teenage kid characters, and they both feel distinct but very like, their place in the story line up really well. I think the little flourishes, like I talked about, like the breath in the freezer, but not just that, but like even like the lightning flash kill on one of the twins, whatever the first twin that leaves first, and you see her killed just by the shadow with the lightning strike or lightning flash behind them, the silhouette. I think that's really, really inspired. There's just little like just even when they get to the hospital and you just get like a quick half-second shot of like a family crying in like one of the rooms. So like one of the victims' families has already arrived and been informed, or like something like that, like from part 3. Just little details like that really do make this feel like it's attached to the previous movies, but this is like announcing itself like this is like going to be the best one, at least in my opinion. So I think Joseph Zito is probably the strongest director out of the 3 directors from these first 4 movies, and probably, honestly, spoiler alert, probably my favorite direction for the entire series as well. So
I'll go next since I'm next on the list. My MVP is going to be Crispin Glover. I don't know if it's because we're fresh. We just covered Back to the Future, or I just read a book about Back to the Future recently. We didn't just cover it. I just read a book about Back to the Future, and it talked very highly of Crispin Glover. And when I was watching this movie, I was thinking that if you would have had him be like a Sidney Prescott type character where he is a recurring, I think that would have been a great like dichotomy with Jason being this very brooding character, and then you have this like kind of goofy, lengthy characters like the other side of that coin. I think he played his part really, really well. I completely agree with you where this cast feels a lot more lived in, where this cast feels a lot more entertaining to watch. A lot of those coming of age stories are in this. I didn't even put that together in my head, but that's exactly what it is. And the entire cast did great, but I think I really noticed it a lot in Crispin Glover, and that like that lived in feel was very prevalent when he was on screen. So Crispin Glover is my MVP.
Good pick.
I'm up. I'm gonna go Barney Cohen. He was the screenwriter for this one. Like Corey said, this movie feels very lived in, and I think that is evident in the way it is written and the dynamics written for these characters, even with the the few scenes we get with like the Doyle family,
No,
I'm
Doyle is
sorry,
Halloween. This is Tommy Jarvis.
The Jarvis family.
Different Tommy.
The dynamics are there. There is the weird younger brother, the cool older sister, and the friends. I love that scene on the couch where the asking to go up to the bunk scene. The dialogue is just so it's fun, but it's also there's the sweetness to the way she asks. And I think this is probably just the cleanest written script out of all of them.
She's a tragic character, Sarah, because like after the shower, she goes, "I think I'm in love," and he's like, "What?" And then she just like doesn't repeat it. But she's actually the last one alive with the kid characters, isn't she? Because I think she kind of realizes everyone else in the house is dead, which is kind of sad as well. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I think Barney Cohen.
Yeah, all the characters. Yeah,
is my MVP for
Good
this
pick.
one.
On to the review section.
Says that they insist on outside opinions.
What kind of opinions?
Well, your kind, not to put too fine a point on it. I mean, let's face it, in your particular field, you're the top minds.
Cole, what did you think of this movie?
So few films seem to find their footing in their fourth film. This might actually be one of them. 3 out of 5.
Whoa! My turn. Come for the low-lift teen slasher movie, stay for the paranormal questions that are raised. The title, insisting on finality, leaves us wondering and wanting to know what happens next. 3 out of 5.
Did you mean arise?
What did I say?
Raise.
I think I just said paranormal questions raised.
The amalgamation of the franchise's other better entries into one movie. This may not be the ceiling for what a Friday the 13th movie can be, but I think it's the closest we have come. 4 out of 5.
Whoa.
I think for all movies, this genuinely might be my biggest Rotten Tomato score to my own Letterboxd ranking disparity. Like, in terms of me being like, I wholeheartedly disagree with the Rotten Tomato score, which I think is like 20% on this movie.
Whoa, critic?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me see.
Oh, the audience one is higher.
25.
25.
Oof. Bad take.
They didn't get it. Went over their head. Way over their head.
Critics didn't get Die Hard when Die Hard came out. It takes time.
It's been 40 years.
Since I rode on the RMS Titanic.
There's sometimes like where I'm watching like Friday the 13th 1 through 3, and I'm like, this is like I like what they're doing here for a Friday the 13th movie. I think watching like part 4, I'm like generally like, this could just be, you could put this up against other 80s like teen movies, like, not saying it's like Ferris Bueller or anything, but like I like this more than like 16 Candles by a wide margin. I like this more than Breakfast Club. Like I enjoyed this set of characters more than those, and I think
Why
it's
do you
more
hate
fun.
John Hughes?
I think this is kind of John Hughes-ish. That's why I'm comparing it to those movies. So that's my take. Like when my last little specific example, I swear to God, and then we can do the final ranking stuff. Like when the believability of like Corey Feldman on the bed, looking out the window and seeing that girl start to like take off her clothes across the street or whatever in the other house, and he like starts giggling and bouncing. Like, because he just doesn't know where to put that energy because he's like 8 or 9. That just rings.
Was that his sister that saw what was going on and didn't close the window?
No, his mom. His mom
That
came
was his
in.
mom, and she saw what was happening.
I think she
and
did.
She didn't close the window.
Tommy.
He was pretending to be asleep when she came in, and then
She knew.
Well, I think she does because she smirks a bit, but I think she closes the window.
No, she closes the other window on the other side of the room. She leaves that window open. I said, where does this mom get off? He had his fun. Close the window. You caught him.
Zach picked up on what you said, but
It's an interesting question. All right. So I guess we would call Trish the final girl in this movie, right? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So for these 4 movies that we have watched, who would like to go first ranking the final girls?
I'll do mine.
Okay.
Oh.
We going
Sorry.
low to high?
Do it what you want.
4 to 1.
4 to 1.
Let's go 4 to 1. So 4, I'm going Trish. 3, I'm going Jenny. 2, I'm going Chris. And number 1, I'm going Alice. I figured we'd do all 4 since.
Yeah, do all 4, but I think we should each do our final. What do you mean? Like all 4 final girls?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Yeah, I thought you meant you were gonna do that, then do your favorite Jasons, then do your favorite kill. Like I thought you meant you were gonna do all of yours, and then we would
No. I
Okay.
figured we go 1 through 4.
All right. Go ahead, Corey.
Okay, 1 second. Sorry. I'm ready.
All right,
I'm ready.
so my
give me a
number
second. No,
4
give me a second. I'm sorry. I'm ready. Okay, here it goes. Here's my list. 4 through 1. Starting up at number 4, I have Trish. At number 3, I have Alice. At number 2, I have Chris. And number 1, I have Jenny.
So you and I just flip-flopped our 1 and our 3.
You and I are usually flip-flop.
We're always flip-flop.
My number 4 is Chris. My number 3 is Trish. My number 2, Alice, and my 1 is Jenny.
Yes. Can I ask why Cole, you also had Chris at number 3. Is that
No,
right?
I had Chris at number 2.
I had
I
Chris
thought
as my bottom one.
Oh, was I just not listening at all?
Let's just move on.
Well, I was going to ask. Wait, no. We talked about the whole Chris ending. What put her so low on yours?
I think she's actually like overhated by some people in general, but I think she's fine. I just like the other characters more. There's really nothing against her specifically.
I just thought her ending was the most entertaining and the most like different.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I think the end. Yeah, man. This for me, I think the endings in terms of, but I mean, like the last act of all of these movies, I think is the strongest part of all these movies. But I think overall, Chris being at the bottom might just be kind of a victim of what we were talking about with like, she just doesn't have as many scenarios to be as memorable because the characters around her are not as memorable. So like the interactions I'm less interested in.
Okay. On to the Jason rankings.
I'll go first.
Quick
if you guys want.
quick aside. Actually, Cole, you go first. Sorry.
Okay.
I thought we were doing a quick aside.
No, you can go first. It's going to answer
Okay.
my quick aside.
I'm going to go 1, 3, 4, 2.
Now, are you going like
Low to high.
Low to high. So little baby kid Jason jumping out of the water is your least favorite?
Yes.
So I did not rank little baby kid Jason.
I think I'll go really quick because I put him at I did, but and this is nothing against it. I think it's a great scare and I love the makeup there, but he's also the bottom. I mean, look, he's only in one part of the movie. So yeah, he's number 1, the original is my 4. Then part 3 Jason, part 2 Jason, and part 4 Jason is my favorite.
So part 4 was your favorite. Very interesting. So I didn't rank little baby Jason, but I'm going to put him at the bottom of my rankings at number 4.
There you go. You were stressing out too much over that. That was not going to be a hard.
That wasn't my brief aside.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, what was the name of the Jason in final chapter? Do we know?
Like the actor?
Yeah, that's how I was ranking them. I put the name of each one, and I put Ted White, but I couldn't
that is
find
his name. That is his
Oh,
name.
look at that, even better. Anyway, so I had little baby Jason at number 4.
9 pound, 10 ounce baby
Yeah,
Jason.
that's what's good. I had final chapter Jason at number 3.
That's okay.
I had part 3 at number 2. And I had part 2 at number 1.
There's a whole movement out there of like-minded folks as yourself, Corey, that think part 2 Baghead Jason is actually the best version before the hockey mask.
I really like that one.
I gave it my 1 too. I mean,
I'm excited for you to see how the remake does it, Corey. Because it's interesting how they go about it. Cool.
On to our final movie rankings.
I thought we were going to list our favorite kill.
Or are we not going to finish the rankings and then do favorite kills?
I thought we were just going to give our... Yeah. Okay, let's do rankings. Thank you.
Cool.
I'm going 4, 1... Or, sorry.
This is going to confuse people.
Low to high. Low to high. 3. Then I'm going to go 1, 2, 4.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to go part 3 as my 4th place. I am going to go I'm sorry. I am going to go number 1, the first Friday the 13th as number 3. I am going to go final chapter at 2, and I am going to go part 2 as my number 1.
Didn't you give part?
No, that
checks out with his reviews. His part 2 was 3.5. And then he gave final chapter 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it shouldn't have been surprise.
I wasn't listening.
I know.
My bottom, part 3.
Yeah.
Part 3D, like both of you. And then part 2, original final chapter. It's my favorite.
Not a
So,
fan.
Corey
Zach
and I are
aligned on the final chapter.
Kirby and Mindy from Scream 6 when they
Yeah.
I think Mindy said part 2 and Tatum said final chapter. So
And she looks, she's like, I had a huge crush on Corey Feldman.
No,
Right.
Kirby said final chapter.
That's what he said.
Yep.
He said Tatum said final chapter.
Oh, did you say Tatum? Stupid. Stupid boy.
I might have. Cole, what was your favorite kill in these 4
The
movies?
spear through the nuts. The spear through the
in
nuts
this one?
is just a
Oh,
great
man.
kill.
He gets lifted. It's like foggy out too. It looks great. Yeah.
And he goes, Jason lifts him out of the water. And you
It's a tough
only
one.
have to assume that Jason is dwelling at the bottom of this lake with his harpoon gun that he will stab and then shoot through Paul's testicles.
That is what happened. We can only assume that is how it went down. That is true. Yeah, can you imagine swimming out there, find your girlfriend naked and dead in a raft? Just like, oh my God, that would suck.
And that's not even the worst thing that happens to you.
And it only and the next 15 seconds of your life are going to be even worse.
Yeah.
And those next 15 seconds are the end of your life.
Cole, I think that's a great pick, and it didn't even make my top 5, but I think it is a great pick.
You have a top 5.
Because I didn't know
kinda
what you
wanna-
guys would take, so I had just options. And
okay.
This isn't MVPs. We can have the same.
Yeah, this could be a loose discussion. Yeah.
I will say I enjoyed the kill scenes. I have a favorite, but like the kill scenes where it's like 2 characters were just hanging out, like whether it was in the shower, like Crispin Glover saying like, "Did you move the wine bottle opener?" Like stuff like that.
Where's
where it's
the
like,
corkscrew?
Yeah,
Dad, where's the corkscrew?
stuff like that, and then Jason just pops out and just like kills, like makes a dramatic kill.
That was one of the who killed that ones. You remember a character is stabbed with a corkscrew and then macheted in the face.
Yeah. I like those kills, but I think my favorite one and the one that's sticking with me the most was when he killed the character that was in the wheelchair in part 2.
Mark. And he rolls
And
down.
he rolls all the way down the
in
stairs.
the rain. Yeah, it's a tough. Yeah.
I was like,
that was in my top 5. That was my 5.
Yeah,
that was my 5.
That one just sticks with me. I think because out of all the kills, it's probably the one we dwell on the most, and so I think that's
mean.
why.
It just feels mean.
Yeah. But you know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna say it. Zach.
No, say it.
I was gonna say wouldn't have been worse if he didn't kill. Never mind.
Okay, I have 2 answers here because I have a feeling you guys will be
action.
like, "Oh no, that one doesn't count." But why not? It counts. He's dead. I think Jason's death at the end of final chapter is my favorite. I think the machete to the hand and then him landing on his machete and the machete his head sliding down the machete, I think is outstanding. I think it is really outstanding looking effect. It's blood. Really cool. I think it looks great. But if I'm going like traditional, I think Andy in part 3 doing his handstand out of the bathroom.
I was thinking of that one.
And Jason, that overhead shot of Jason swinging that axe down on his groin is so violent. It is so...
The nut kill's getting a lot of love on this episode.
He just like collapses into like a heap of person. It's like, it is brutal. The other honorable mentions I have here was like Vera getting shot in the face in part 3 with that, that little spear gun.
Yeah.
And then in part 4, Doug's head in the shower. I guess I did look up his name, the pretty boy that Sarah sleeps with in the shower. His head, like Jason pushing his hand through the glass of the shower and shoving his head against the wall is really violent. I think, and I think the effects look great.
Smile when you say that.
It's such a great. It's really impressive makeup stuff in these movies. I think that's part of the appeal, and that's why there's a certain entry later, Corey, where it's like the historic, like it's famously or infamously the MPAA just ripped it up and said you can't show that, and so all of these kill scenes are just quick cutaways, and it's just like the entire time it's like really frustrating in one of these later ones, but they got away with a lot in this one. So I think it looks those are all really good. So, and then obviously the Kevin Bacon one, like we talked about in the first one, is great. The blood dripping on his head and then the spear through the throat. So.
To the post-credits scene. So that is it for our first 4 installments of Friday the 13th. We won't be covering this again until November, so you have some time if you want to take a break. If not, keep watching them. I'm gonna keep watching it so you can stay up to date on my letterbox. I'll be ranking them all there. I think I'm gonna try to do a full rankings on there. I'm gonna do a list so you guys can look forward to that. Cole, have you seen 5 or beyond?
No, I have not.
Well,
I've seen the reboot.
You said like, oh, just you wait.
I caught that earlier, and I was like, what is he talking about? Because
well, that's why I was like, oh, so he's seen it, but then
I've seen a clip from one that's it's a silly clip.
Can't imagine one of these movies being silly.
What's the matter, big boy? Afraid you
But
say something.
we are doing something we've done. This will be our second year doing this, right? Did we do this 2 years ago?
Yeah, no,
we did this last year.
I know we did this last year. Did we do it?
Yeah,
Well,
first time we done this. First time we done this.
The year before was you guys and Zach cut it. You guys gave your Cardinals predictions on our Scream 6 episode.
We will be doing that again. Something to look forward to, because our next episode, we will be celebrating the start of baseball season with a baseball movie. We're still trying to figure out exactly what that's going to be. So
just watch all of them. Just watch all of them.
Every baseball movie ever made. Well, do we want to do a poll? Do we want to say
I think we
which
should do
movies?
a poll.
Okay.
I vote poll.
Okay. So
Those are
the ones we have right now. Are you guys look at the doc
read
really
them off.
quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the 4 that we have, and we'll be doing a poll on Instagram, and probably just Instagram, because I don't think we can really do a poll anywhere else. But you can leave a comment anywhere else or text one of us anywhere else, and we'll
count
vague.
that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's okay.
Whatever.
It's up to us.
No, because we had that argument, and then Zach was like,
no, it's okay.
I got 35 texts.
But we'll be covering.
No, it was the exact opposite, Cole. I was arguing that you guys getting texts shouldn't count as votes, because it's like, okay, when did we? Whatever. Go ahead.
But however you want to vote, feel free to vote. Just let us know what movie you want us to cover. But we will either be covering one of the 4, which is The Sandlot, A League of Their Own, which it's Women's History Month, so you should feel bad if you don't vote for that one. Major League, and then Field of Dreams. Last year we covered Moneyball, and so this one we're taking a little bit more on the field. We're going to be covering the sport a little bit more instead of looking at the finances and the business side of it and the corporate greed that just breeds into the game and destroys what we love so much. But we're going
to quote Zach, let's just see jacked Brad Pitt on the field taking some swings.
Did I say that?
So go vote.
You were
Go
pissed
vote.
that we were focusing on the nerds and wanted more of jacked Brad.
Go vote on one of those 4 movies, and that is what we will be covering next. Back to our regular schedule. I know these have been released on Fridays, but that is because it's been Friday the 13th.
Scary.
But we're going to go back to our regular schedule of every other week, which we have just been kind of off and on since the year started, but that's okay.
Who cares?
But in the meantime, what have you guys been watching?
I'm gonna start watching DTF St. Louis. Let's go St. Louis.
He said, "What have you been watching?"
But I watched the Ted series recently, the second season of the Ted series. Still very funny. I highly recommend you guys get into it. It's a very funny show. That and Paradise.
Thanks for the recommendation. We'll not be watching Ted, but if you want me to, I'll watch Paradise.
Watch Paradise. It's really good.
Okay.
Why not Ted?
No. Cole?
Why not?
No,
Why
I'm sorry.
not?
Cole, you just went. Zach?
I think since we last recorded, I've watched 2 Best Picture nominees with Sentimental Value and Secret Agent. So now I'm down to just Train Dreams. That's the only one I have left. And that's on Netflix. So it'll be really easy for me to get that one done. I like them
went
both.
to go see that at one
did.
point. You invited
Train
me
Dreams?
to go.
No. Oh, I asked you, but then you said no, so I didn't go.
Oh, I'm sorry, bud.
No, it's okay. It was like literally when you texted me like, "Hey, I know you're busy when you're in town, but let me know if you want to hang out and see a movie." And I was like, "All right, you want to go see a movie, Train Dreams tonight?" And you're like, "No, I don't."
I couldn't do it that night. I'm sorry.
And then I asked you to hang out to go bowling, and then you were. We know how that went.
45 minutes late. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
I showed up.
Yes.
Zach, do you have any thoughts on Best Picture or any of these Oscar movies that are coming out?
Because I remember I did suggest to the group that we should do like an official prediction. I forgot that I did that, and I didn't pull it up and stuff. But my guess is One Battle After Another will win Best Picture. But man, Sinners is creeping up there, and something almost tells me that might be the shock, is that Sinners might win Best Picture. But same thing with maybe Michael B. Jordan over Timothée Chalamet, but we'll see.
Tim, yeah.
I was told that I'm going to really like Marty Supreme, so I think
you would.
I'm going to. Is that streaming? Do we know? Is that something we can answer?
That's not something we can look up on the interweb.
I don't know if it's streaming. I thought it might have been.
We will never know.
Currently, I am not seeing it streaming. You can watch it on YouTube TV for $19.99.
Oof, just a little out of the price range.
You know what's better than watching Marty Supreme for $19.99? Watching Friday the 13th New Beginning for free $99.
I'm going to watch Friday or New Beginning, Friday the 13th, right after this. Probably gonna wait until it gets a little darker out, because I think I watched Final Chapter when it was light outside, and it was kind of hard to see a little bit. But that's just nature of the movies.
Let me give you this tease, Corey. Maybe if you recall back in the days, you probably could tell which one, because I probably mentioned it. But you have not gotten... Final Chapter is my favorite Friday the 13th movie, but you have not gotten to my second favorite one yet. So there is...
You don't like part 2, the next best?
That's my fourth favorite. I'm told you I like the original third most, and then part 2 is my fourth. And then part 3 is my fifth, and then the remake is my sixth or seventh. Freddy vs. Jason is also right there. But my second favorite is this... remains a mystery, but it'll probably be clear once you start it.
Once I start it?
Once you start it, it starts well. It starts well.
Okay. Well, it might take me a while to get through all of them, because I know Corey is not going to like them. So I'll probably only be able to watch them.
Start her with 5. It's called A New Beginning. It's made for people to just come right in.
I just don't think. No, because I think I've ruined my opportunity to do that, because I showed her Terrifier 2.
Bad call. Bad call. I would never dream of making Madeline watch a Terrifier film. Sometimes you just got to know, like, I'm not going to waste a credit, like a boyfriend picks the movie credit on Terrifier 2, you know?
It was when we were getting ready for the pod, when we were covering it. And so I was like, hey, I have to watch this for the pod. Do you want to watch it with me? And she's like, I don't really like horror movies. And I was like, well, this one's pretty gory, but... And she watched it, and she said that was horrible, and she's never going to watch another horror movie.
I cannot think of a worse movie to show someone who says I don't like horror movies than Terrifier 2.
No, it was I had to watch it, and I said, are you okay if I put this on? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. You can put it on.
It's a 2.5 hour, just like...
Now, I will say, when Zach was like, hey, there's this movie, you want to go see it with me? I got in the car, and his exact words were, now, Cole. He did the hand thing, and then he goes, people have been throwing up and fainting in the theater.
That might have just been marketing.
Do you still want to go? And I go, sure. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, I was invited to the same showing, and you know what I did for preparation? I watched the first one before I left, which was hard to do, but I did it, and I am better for it. But Scrubs, the revival, came out. I think it's just, I don't know what they're calling it, Scrubs or...
I think they're calling it Scrubs.
But is
like
it
Halloween 2018? You just call it Halloween.
I don't know if it's like technically season 10, because it is just a continuation of the story. Like they
Scrubs
didn't really...
Born Again.
But I'll say, for anyone that was a fan of the first round of Scrubs, it is just a continuation of everything that they did. They did everything that people really loved about the first series. They're picking up right where they left off. So I think, even if you haven't seen it, Enemy of the Pod, Drew Bolstead, he used to make fun of me for watching Scrubs, and I texted him and I said, you gotta watch the Scrubs revival so you could see what I'm talking about. And he did, and he was like, okay, this is actually really funny. It's really good.
Bolstead was an enemy of the pod.
Well, when it comes to Scrubs, he is, because he makes fun of me for it. But in the general sense, he's not. He just doesn't support us the way a true friend would, because he doesn't listen. So he's never gonna hear this. He's never gonna know that I said this unless I tell him to listen.
I'm gonna text him to listen after we get off.
Catch up on the Friday the 13th 1 through 4,
and then
so you can hear us shit talk you at the end of 4.
I'm not shit talking that. No, he actually liked it, so he is now a supporter of the pod in this sense, but in the general sense. Beyond that, still rewatching Game of Thrones. I watched DTF St. Louis. I was in on. I'm pretty in on it. But it's just one episode in. I'm trying to think of anything else. Just continuing watching all the shows I watched.
I watched Saturday Night Fever, which is not as whimsical as you'd assume.
I saw that.
I've heard it's a pretty dark movie.
It's a very dark movie.
I saw Madeline's response.
Madeline's got a hot start to her Letterboxd career. All of them, I'm like, okay, these are really funny reviews.
I was begging her to give one for a while.
What was her review? What was her review for Saturday Night Fever?
I'll follow it up.
Zach, someone. Because I remember I haven't seen the film.
I know
Madeline,
her.
Mad_Rao.
Yeah.
This is my girlfriend, for anyone who doesn't know.
Subtle brag.
Hopefully people are listening to this who don't know me personally. That's the goal of any podcast.
A man in love. That's what Zach is.
She gave it 3 stars out of 5
Yes.
on Letterboxd. Said me 3/4 through this movie. There's definitely enough slurs, but where's the sexual assault? Which would imply that the
Showgirls.
4th quarter of the film answered the question.
Great.
I did see her Showgirls review, and that was pretty funny. Which was they showed some girls, all right.
They did. That was a girlfriend picks the movie night. Believe it or not, that was not a Zach picks the movie.
Do you like watch these on FaceTime with her?
Yeah, we
like,
watch it. We
start
sync
the
it up. We
movie?
start. We press play. It's always easy to start the movie on time. It's when it's the various bathroom breaks or get a beer breaks that it gets complicated. Especially when we're watching like something on Tubi that has ads built in, and for some reason she always has more ads than I do, which I find very funny.
Oh,
She's like,
to live amongst the 1% like you do, Zach.
it's not like I pay for anything for Tubi. It's Tubi, you know. But
Tubi.
for whatever
Tubi.
reason, the Missouri Tubi has more ads than California Tubi.
Oh gosh.
Must be our governmental
Well,
restrictions.
that's
here.
why gas is
Whoa.
more expensive out here, is because of the Tubi commercials.
You get less Tubi commercials.
It's a give
but
and
gas
take.
prices.
It's a give and
have
take.
to go up.
Guys,
Well,
have
thank
you
you for
guys
listening.
noticed that Tubi commercials have gotten shorter since we bombed Iran?
What are you trying to insinuate? Well,
We're gonna
thank
cut
you
that.
for
That was a personal
listening.
joke. Inside baseball.
Thank you for listening. No one made it this far. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you guys. Baseball movie up next. Go vote on our Instagram, text messages, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. I don't know. We got a little bit of everything going on. We're not active on everything though. But go vote. Let us know what you want to watch. And if we don't like it, we're just going to pick what we want to watch. And so stay tuned on that. And
We have done that before. Yes.
and until then, just keep watching movies. Thank you again. See you next time. Bye.